already being seen from coast to coast as the first booster shots are rolled out.
And then here in New York, a major new mandate taking effect today. It could put thousands of healthcare workers who are refusing vaccination out of a job. So we're going to bring you the latest on that.
And then we're sitting down with the head of Instagram to get his take on the alarming report that was just released on the app's impact on the mental health of young people. You do not want to miss this exclusive interview.
And then Keanu Reeves is here. You know him as a Hollywood legend, but did you know he is also a comic book author? He is, and he's here to talk to us about his latest project.
And we are taking you on a field trip to the cafe that will fill your cup and your soul with kindness. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
It's time for
Today in 30. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez joins us now from Kentucky, which has one of the highest COVID hospitalization rates in the country right now. Hi, Gabe. Good morning.
Savannah, good morning. This hospital has set up a tent outside in the parking lot to administer monoclonal antibody treatments because there's just no room inside. Even as new COVID cases drop in many parts of the country, now another hurdle, a complicated booster shot rollout.
This morning, for millions of Americans, the rush is on to get a COVID booster shot. But in cities like San Antonio, a rough rollout.
We were here about 3 hours, but it was well worth it.
We didn't expect the response that we're seeing today.
Last week, a CDC advisory panel approved the third Pfizer shots for people 65 and older and some with underlying medical conditions. But in a rare move, the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, went even further, opening up boosters to frontline workers.
It's really for people who are working all the time with many different people who might be unvaccinated.
Some states are now cautious. In Vermont, a very limited rollout, pending more clarity from the CDC.
Those 80 and above can register to get their booster shot.
Another challenge, making sure that Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccine recipients know that they're not yet eligible for boosters.
It does appear that while it may be safe, not clear that you get added benefit from mixing and matching.
Other places are also struggling with COVID vaccine mandates. A federal judge is temporarily blocking one for New York City teachers that was set to take effect today. Parents are divided.
Should be mandated, yes.
I feel like if the teachers don't want the vaccines, that's okay, as long as they're safe about it, put the mask on.
A similar requirement starts today for New York healthcare workers, prompting concerns over staffing shortages. The governor is preparing to call in the National Guard if they don't show up for work. Around the country, new COVID cases are down, but in many places with lower vaccination rates, hospitalizations are still high. There's also a shortage of monoclonal antibody treatments, leading the federal government to limit the supply.
On a national level, it's been devastating. People that we would normally be able to treat, if this was last week or last month, we're having to tell them no. No physician and no healthcare provider wants to have to do this.
We're back with In Depth today. This morning, an issue that has a lot of parents talking.
Yeah, Facebook is hitting back at allegations detailed in a Wall Street Journal report that it had internal research documents showing its popular Instagram app may be harmful to the mental health of teen girls.
A top Facebook executive is set to testify about all of it on Capitol Hill this week. But this morning, we're talking with the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, to get his take. But first, a look at what the tech giant is saying about those allegations. This morning, Facebook looking to set the record straight. The tech giant posting what it calls a point-by-point rebuttal to a recent Wall Street Journal report that said the company knew its Instagram app was toxic for teenage girls, calling that idea and the suggestion that they're hiding research simply not accurate. The Journal article posted nearly 2 weeks ago detailed leaked internal studies, including one 2019 slide that read, "We make body issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." Facebook sharing the slide, saying that statistic was based on girls who already experienced body image issues, not all teen girls, adding on problems such as eating issues, loneliness, anxiety, and sadness. Teenage girls who said they experienced these challenges were more likely to say that Instagram made these issues better versus worse. The one exception was body image. Overnight, the Wall Street Journal saying it stands behind its reporting, writing, "None of the company's defenses have cited a single factual error, and, in keeping with our standards, we gave Facebook ample time and space to comment before publication." The social media company has come under intense scrutiny since the Journal's piece was posted. Lawmakers demanding answers, holding a Senate hearing later this week, with one of Facebook's top executives set to testify. The head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, weighing in right after the article was posted.
I don't think of this article as airing our dirty laundry or anything like that. I'm proud of the fact that we're doing this work.
Mosseri has previously pushed for change to make the platform a safer space for users, especially teens, telling Savannah last year.
Do you feel like Instagram is a safer platform than, say, a Facebook or Twitter?
I think it has a more positive charge. We want to be the place that's supportive. That's not to say that negative things don't happen on Instagram. They absolutely do.
Adam Mosseri is the head of Instagram. He's with us exclusively this Monday morning. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So before we dig into this announcement, would we even be having this conversation had it not been for the Wall Street Journal article and the intense pressure you guys have been under over the last few weeks?
I think it's impossible to say, but I do think that we have been working on this idea called Instagram Kids, at least outside in the world. The idea being a version of Instagram that's designed for tweens, and it's had a lot of attention. And so I think it's very possible we would be speaking. But today, we want to talk about how we're going to put the work on pause. I still firmly believe that it's a good thing to build a version of Instagram that's designed to be safe for tweens. But we want to take the time to talk to parents and researchers and safety experts and get to more consensus about how to move forward.
So Instagram for Kids is scrapped for the time being. Is that because we now think it was a bad idea?
Absolutely not. Okay. I firmly believe it's a good idea. As a father, the most important thing to me is the safety of my children. And I have to believe that a world where there's a version of Instagram that's designed for tweens, one where there's no ads, where there's age-appropriate content, and one where a parent can choose to let their child use it and control things like who they follow and who they message, is better than the alternative.
All right, let's talk about the kids for a second, because according to your own research, as I understand it, roughly a third of teenage girls who said when they felt bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. How do we fix that?
So I don't believe that's exactly what the research said, but I do want to be very clear that if anybody leaves using Instagram feeling worse about themselves, that's an important issue that we need to take seriously and that we need to figure out how to address. And so we have a number of ideas in the world of body image and negative social comparison. Last week, we announced that we were working on nudges, the idea that if you're going very deep in one topic, we might nudge you to try another topic. And another project that we call Take a Break. The idea being that you could put your Instagram on pause for a period of time if you're in a moment of vulnerability. Maybe you're going through a breakup or you just switched high schools.
So I know the details are being worked out, but this take a break idea, how will that work? When will we see that in our feeds?
So the way it would work is that your Instagram, your account, your profile, how you show up would essentially be on pause. So the specific details we're still working through, but the idea is that you wouldn't have to worry about people talking about you, addressing you, commenting on your content while you were on a break. You would basically be able to leave and then come back and pick up exactly where you left off.
So let's talk about the other ideas that your parental controls, I understand, over the next few months. You guys are going to roll out parental controls.
Absolutely. So we've been working on parental controls for a long time, actually as part of our work on Instagram Kids. But in talking to parents all over the world, it's clear that 13 isn't a magic age. Parents of kids of all ages are looking for more ways to supervise and control their kids' experiences online. And so the idea is that we're going to bring these parental controls as an optional feature to teens everywhere. And by the way, these features and even a version of social media for those under 13 are things that our competitors like YouTube and TikTok have already done and launched.
So will parents be able to mirror their kids' accounts? How's that going to?
So we're still working through the details, but the idea would be that they could see what their kids are doing.
Okay.
They could manage how much time their kids spend on the app, and they could possibly approve things like who they can message and who they can follow.
Okay. And again, this is going to be something that's rolled out over the next few months.
Yes, we've been working on it for a long time, but we're a few months away from launching, and we wanted to talk about it today.
I think a lot of folks who are watching and listening will probably wonder, you guys have had this research, you've had this information for some time. Why not do some of this sooner?
So we've actually been working on a lot of this for years now. We do this research to shed light on problems. That's the whole point of the research, which is why I'm actually proud that we do that kind of work. That work has inspired lots of interesting product changes. For instance, we announced a couple years ago we wanted to lead on the issue of online bullying.
Yeah.
And the research we did when we asked kids and teens why they didn't block people who were harassing them on Instagram was that they were worried about fear of retribution because they have to see these kids in school. And also, they needed to track what was being said about them. So that inspired the restrict feature, which we launched a few years ago. So over the years, we're constantly doing this research, both internally and externally, and using it to inspire changes to the product.
One of the problems, again, you mentioned 13, of course, that's the age at which you're supposed to be able to get an Instagram account. You and I both know there are kids on Instagram who are under the age of 13. I'm not going to put my cousins on blast, but I've got some family members who aren't 13 who have Instagram accounts. How do you fix that?
So that is a very difficult challenge. Verifying the age of kids and tweens who are too young to have IDs is difficult. We rely on things like reports and parental forms, but it's not a perfect process, which again is why we think a healthier place to end up is to have a version of Instagram that was designed for tweens that parents have the option to give their kids access to, as opposed to letting kids sometimes sneak in and go rogue. And then eventually the parents or we find them and we take them off, but there's a risk there that we want to mitigate.
So age verifications, features are coming.
Yeah, we continue to do a lot of work on age verification. I think we're doing as much, if not more work than anybody else in the industry, but it is a very difficult challenge.
Okay. Adam Mosseri, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Back now with our series with NBC Sports, Once in a Lifetime.
Well, this morning we're in San Fran, where the Niners are doing great things for young men and women in the Bay Area. And NBC's Aaron McLaughlin is live this morning at Levi's Stadium. Hi, Aaron. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. It's a partnership that began just as the world was shutting down due to COVID. The 49ers mentoring a group of kids specially selected for their leadership capabilities. We were there for their first in-person event, and as we saw firsthand, it was a big win for everyone involved.
Inside Levi's Stadium, home to the San Francisco 49ers, a very different kind of huddle.
You accomplish your individual goal when the team accomplishes their goal.
Star NFL players, staff, and dozens of specially drafted local kids discovering the power of mentorship. After being kept apart by COVID, they're finally meeting in person.
Zoom is cool, but this is even better, right?
Part of a groundbreaking partnership between an organization called 100 Black Men, working with Bay Area boys and girls, now joining forces with the 49ers. Sharing stories and advice on leadership, networking, health and wellness, and financial literacy.
Football is only for so long, but us touching one of those kids, that lasts a lifetime.
Linebacker Fred Warner and defensive lineman Eric Armstead are some of the biggest names in the game.
We play football on Sundays, but we also have a lot more to give than just playing football.
What you do outside of the stadium is as important as what you do inside.
Absolutely.
More important.
More important. Why?
What you do inside the stadium obviously gives you the platform, but what you do with that platform is more important. It's more impactful. Even if you're fortunate enough to get your name up here in the stadium, that will go away. But how you impact people and how you help people will remain after you're gone.
That support means the world to 17-year-old Jonathan Martin.
A mentor is somebody who will have your back.
A star student with over a 4.0 GPA. Like so many other kids, he struggled with anxiety and stress throughout the pandemic.
It has definitely been isolating. Just not able to have any interaction has been very tough.
He said connecting with his 49er mentors helped pull him through.
They taught me to keep going, persevere. This is going to end one day. So just having the mentors there to coach me up and tell me that these things will be over with and that you will have a good time has just been a great help.
It's an inspiring partnership born out of one of the most consequential moments in our nation's history, the murder of George Floyd and the reckoning that followed.
We saw a whole world that was really shifted and changed by that moment.
49ers general manager John Lynch was one of those people changed.
We huddled up and we said, what can we do? How can we make an impact to make things better? And I think through a lot of conversation and uncomfortable conversation came, we have to do something.
Did that impact you personally?
Oh, absolutely.
Has this program changed the 49ers?
I know it's changed me. You know, it's changed Fred Warner. It inspires me to want to do better. If I could have seen someone, you know, who looked like me and, you know, was somewhere where I wanted to be, saying as a young person that, I want to be an NFL player one day, and for that NFL player to tell me, you can be so much more. You know, don't just shoot for the stars, just shoot past the stars. That's why I want to do what we're doing. You know, it's really important.
Warner and Armstead also have a message for kids who feel alone and might be struggling.
At times, you may feel like you have no one that cares, no one that understands. I may not know you, we may not ever meet, but I care. I think you deserve every opportunity to be successful and live a great life.
I encourage people to educate themselves, just be a good person, be a good human being, because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna matter.
I'm here with Fred Warner and Eric Armstead from the 49ers in the Levi's Stadium. They're talking about a brand new program that they're participating in that's making a huge impact in the community. I'll have more on that coming up on Today All Day.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, this morning we are catching up with a Hollywood legend who's been entertaining us for decades now. Keanu Reeves raced into stardom way back in the 90s with that thriller Speed.
Since then, he's played Neo in the Matrix movies, a role he'll be bringing back soon. And of course, he's been an assassin out for revenge as John Wick.
Well, now Keanu is adding comic book author to his resume with the release of Berserker. And he's here to tell us all about it. Keanu, it is great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Morning.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm a big comic book fan. And this series, the thumbs up, you've been thinking about this since 2017.
Yeah.
What was the impetus to finally get this thing going? Why now? And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's called Berserker, and I had the idea for a character in the middle of a battle, kind of berserkering. And I met with Boom Studios, the publisher of the comic, and I pitched this idea to them. And they said, we like the idea. Have you ever thought of doing a comic book about it? And I said, no. And they said, would you like to? And I said, yes, please. And then Boom Studios put a team together. We have a great writer, Matt Kent, illustrator Ron Garney, great colorist Bill Crabtree, letterer Clem Robbins. And so we have this kind of super team. And so over the past couple of years, we've been developing it. And the first 4 issues are in an anthology now, which is kind of the origin story of this character who was born 80,000 years ago. And he's half human, half God. It's a comic book. And he's cursed with this impulse to violence. And it's kind of how do people react to him? How does this man who doesn't want to kill but is compelled to, and how is he used? And what is this person's life? And also we have fun with going through all of kind of the different epochs and ages of human history.
So good.
And,
love this. You know what I think is pretty cool? The fact that Netflix has announced it's turning the comic into a live-action film in an anime series, which you'll be starring in. What was your reaction to that?
I thought that was pretty... I'm really grateful. It's a really extraordinary opportunity. I love the story, and I hope people enjoy it. And, I think it's a story of... that's for our times, but also all times, just who we are, how we are. And so to have the opportunity to kind of tell the story, different versions of the story in anime or live action, I'm really excited about the opportunity.
Keanu, almost 20 years. Hard to believe 20 years have passed since the release of the last Matrix film. The time has finally come for its newest installment, The Matrix Resurrections. Yes. It's been well over a decade since the last movie. So what should we expect from this one?
It's pretty astounding. It's a beautiful film. It's a love story. It's action, and it's full of ideas. It's a Matrix film, and it's Lana Wachowski's the director and visionary and writer. And, it was just really something special for me personally and creatively to be involved. And hopefully people will. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful images in cinema, but, food, and, it's a Matrix film. So it's kind of confronting who we are and what's going on.
I love it.
And seeking for the best of ourselves.
I know so many are looking forward to that. And you're in the middle of, you're in these 2 wonderful anthologies. You're also in the middle of filming John Wick, the 4th John Wick. And you say that it's really intense, which I find interesting, since the first 3 weren't exactly a light romp.
They're fun.
Yes,
come on.
No, they're absolutely fun.
But they're intense. We're going for it. There's some really amazing John Wick action and new characters, and it's been really fun to be playing the role again and to be telling this story. There's new characters, and we're opening up the world, and right now we're just shooting this crazy fight scene in the middle of traffic. Oh. So it's just car crashes, gun fights, anyway.
I know, right?
It's John Wick. I love it. We're waiting for John Wick the musical.
Okay.
All right. Keanu, thank you so much. It's so good to see you again. We really appreciate you stopping by. The graphic novel is called Berserker, and it is out October 5th.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Yes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright.
Are you ready?
We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world. Love it! The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Sometimes we don't realize how a small act of kindness can totally change a person's day, and that's exactly what they're serving up at the La La Land Kind Cafe.
The cafe not only serves up smiles, but they're also giving back to their community by employing young adults who have aged out of the foster care system, which in 2019 totaled more than 20,000 kids across the United States.
Okay, so let's take a look at how this cafe is changing lives with every cup.
Let's make the world a kinder place.
Every day this world needs to be kinder.
Excuse me? I just want to say you're beautiful. Yeah!
Spreading kindness is the ultimate goal
You guys are radiating love and kindness.
of the TikTok series Drive by Kindness, which has racked up over 44 million likes.
We believe that when we see so many people on a daily basis, that kind atmosphere and the compliments and the sharing of love, once you get enough of it, it will change people.
It all started here at the La La Land Kind Cafe, and for founder Francois Rehani, kindness is key.
We felt like we really are an army that is fighting for kindness, right? This isn't really a game for us. We're serious about what we do, right? We say kindness first, coffee second.
Employees embody that motto as soon as you walk in the door.
We love you! So if we have a place that serves coffee that demonstrates that changes everyone's day. It changes their week. And then they continue to tell other people, and then it's just a snowball effect of kindness.
22-year-old Sierra Watley knows firsthand how kindness can change your life.
I absolutely love this place. I don't know what I would do without it.
Ciara had almost lost hope before being introduced to La La Land back in 2018.
I ended up losing everything in my life. I lost my kid, I lost my car, I lost my apartment, I was homeless. They're not gonna wanna hire me. I was like, they're not gonna want anything to do with me. They're just gonna look at me as another foster kid.
But 3 years later, Ciara is thriving, and she recently welcomed baby Violet with her husband, Daryl.
They're still just so opening and welcoming and happy to have me. They truly show that they care, and I never had that in my life.
The cafe supports people who have aged out of the foster care system by offering an 8-week internship program to teach both job and life skills.
These kids who have never done anything wrong in their entire lives, that have been put in the worst position in the world, they're not asking for a second chance. They're asking for a first chance.
Just teach them the basic skills of being held accountable, showing up on time, gaining customer service. A lot of foster youths don't have those tools. They no longer have that support system. So they don't have the resources that a lot of people have, their parents to help them out.
Interns like 26-year-old Amber Payne already feel part of the La La Land family.
I'm just happy to, be at a job that, people understand where you're coming from and, they don't judge you. They try their best to make sure you feel welcomed and comfortable at work.
Have a place like La La Land. I feel like, okay, I'm not alone, and I feel like I can be myself.
And with cafes in Dallas and Los Angeles, they're hoping to showcase the power of positivity each and every day.
If at the end of the day, all we did was serve a cup of coffee, we failed. We're here to change things. And people notice that from the first day. So amazing.
I want people to understand the drastic power of kindness in our daily lives and the amount of people that you touch and see every day. The way that you act and the kindness that you spread can really do a lot.
Oh, you're going to want to tune in tomorrow on Today. Trisha Yearwood, she's going to be here cooking some easy comfort food for us.
Multi-talented Trisha Yearwood. We're going to keep things country. Don't want to miss Jenna's interview with Alan Jackson. See you tomorrow, bright and early for Tuesday.
Welcome to Today All Day. Over the next 30 minutes, I'll be sharing some of my favorite interviews with you. These conversations include lessons from dads across the country, inspiring stories of hope, and a few laughs along the way as well. So sit tight, get ready for more Today All Day, right now. John, what's the secret? How do you rear a daughter to become a U.S. Olympian?
I talk to her, I motivate her, but the real secret is, I think it's her. I think she's pretty natural. She will be the first Hmong American to be in the Olympic. So I am proud, the family's proud, all the community is very proud of her.
18-year-old Sunisa Lee, or Suni for short, secured her spot on the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team, finishing second behind only Simone Biles at trials in late June.
Sunisa Lee!
And her biggest cheerleader, her dad, John, is still letting that moment sink in.
It's unreal, because especially in gymnastics where, there's only 4 spots available. So if she made it, and that's pretty tough.
Tough, determined, resilient. Qualities that don't just describe Suni's journey to making the Olympic team, but traits she learned watching her dad heal. In August of 2019, just 2 days before Suni competed at nationals, John fell off a ladder helping a neighbor trim a tree. Now, paralyzed from the chest down, John is slowly relearning how to move.
My hands are getting stronger. My balance is not so great, but I'm learning how to cope with that.
John finds inspiration from his daughter.
You got this.
Thanks.
John, what's the secret? How do you rear a daughter to become a U.S. Olympian?
I talk to her, I motivate her, but the real secret is, I think it's her. I think she's pretty natural.
And from an early age, Suni's energy and talent were hard to ignore.
The first year when she competed, she won state. And then the second year, they jumped her 3 levels. We just continue pushing her, helping her, supporting her.
I understand that when she was sort of starting out, that her dad was so committed to her success that he actually built a beam in the backyard. Is that true?
Yes, it is, and it's still here. Matter of fact, it's in the backyard right now.
Why'd you do that?
She goes to the gym and she practices, but we don't have a beam here, so I couldn't afford a real beam, so I built one.
Small moments that led to Suni living her dream.
You know what I wanted to do before I got hurt? I always told Sunisa, if you make it to the Olympic, I'm gonna run out there and do a backflip. But I can't do it now.
Maybe not a backflip, but you could do some serious high-fiving, right?
Yes.
The Lee family also can't travel to Tokyo because of COVID restrictions, so we'll watch from their hometown in Minnesota.
As I watch her, I'll be thinking if she bring home a couple of medals, hopefully a couple of gold, that would be so great for the family, the community, and for the USA.
Do you get nervous watching Suni?
I do. Deep inside me, I do get a little nervous, especially when she does the beam, because that platform is very narrow and it's high.
But she's been doing it for so many years now. How can you still get nervous?
Everybody gets nervous when a kid gets up on those events. Once they're done, then you get relieved.
Do you think she'll compete again after this, or do you think this will be her first and her last?
She really want to do college gymnastics, so after the Olympic, she only got 3 more years before the next Olympic. I was hoping that she'd continue on, but she want to go to college and compete.
There is one thing that's for certain. We will all be cheering her on as she goes for gold in Tokyo.
She already proved to the community, her family, her friends, and her coach that she is capable of getting there. So now it's time for her to go and do it for herself.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
Exactly.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know, the biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
My wife is an Air Force officer.
My wife is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army.
My name is Reggie Brown, and this is Captain Adair Brown.
As I understand it, you're an Army husband.
I am.
How difficult has that been?
When one's in the Army, your whole family serves.
Do you think that as a society we fully appreciate that?
I feel like there's a lack of understanding of certain parts of it. Like you take something like a deployment. Most people think deployment is war zone, bullets flying, the whole nine. But a deployment is mental, emotional separation from the things that matter to you the most. And that can be here, stateside, that can be overseas.
Jeremy Hilton has had his own share of emotional turmoil as a home front dad.
My wife, Renee, is a special agent for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Renee had actually responded September 11th at the Pentagon, and then we decided to have a child not long after that. And in November 25th of 2002, Kate was born.
Kate, their first daughter, was born with a condition called hydrocephalus. She would require many surgeries and years of therapy. Jeremy decided to leave his position in the Navy to care for his daughter while his wife, Renee, stayed in the Air Force. A year later, Renee deployed to Kuwait.
I was a brand new caregiver trying to figure out, how do I do this by myself? Okay, we need to see the neurologist, we need to see the neurosurgeon, we need to see the developmental pediatrician. All the while, I'm hearing about what my wife Renee is doing downrange, and I'm worried about her, and she's worried about us. There's a lot of stress involved in that.
To get through those difficult times, Jeremy drew strength from his own military service in the Navy.
I have a child who has these needs. That's my new mission. I had a Navy mission, now I have a family mission.
In 2012, Jeremy lobbied Congress for better health care and education benefits for military families with disabilities. In honor of that work, he won a prestigious Military Spouse of the Year award, the first male spouse to ever receive it.
My motto since Kate was born is, I've had these experiences, how do we make this system better for the families who come after us?
Chris Field also knows his mission as a military spouse and a stay-at-home dad to 4 kids.
For any male military spouses out there, my first recommendation is to have a sense of humor about yourself. Don't be afraid to say, yes, I'm the stay-at-home dad, and these are my kids, and this is my diaper bag. The driving kids to swim practice, the washing dishes, the changing diapers, creating the conditions by which she can flourish, that's what I feel most proud of. She is an Army veterinarian, but first and foremost, she's a soldier. And any day she could receive orders to go downrange and provide animal care for working dogs in the heat of battle. She is brave and tough.
Captain Brown and her husband, Reggie, find solace from Army life on wheels. Reggie is a professional roller skater and dancer in addition to his stay-at-home dad duties. What's your typical day look like?
It's a lot. Cooking breakfast, getting clothes washed, picking them up from school. Every day is a different challenge.
Do the kids appreciate the uniqueness of the situation?
I think they appreciate it because they get to see us working together as a team, seeing us do whatever it takes to get our task, our daily task, our missions completed.
How proud of this guy are you as a dad?
I am extremely proud by everything that Reggie is and that Reggie does for our family.
It's okay. It's okay.
Proud to be his wife.
I'm proud to be her husband.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
How did you get into sewing?
It started by seeing my sister sew. She would take sweatshirts and hoodies and replace the sleeves with the African and Ankara fabric. I was like, I think I want to do this, and then just decided to just go for it.
Philadelphia native and self-taught dressmaker Michael Gardner has been sewing dresses and outfits for his 9-year-old daughter Ava since she was just 3 years old.
You ready?
Yeah.
How did Daddy Dress Me come about?
One day took her out and said, I'm going to take pictures of you. I mean, she just started doing poses and had a little walk, and I was like, okay, this can actually be something.
That something was Daddy Dressed Me by Michael Gardner, a fashion content brand and social media campaign featuring Michael's daughter Ava wearing the designs they collaborated on.
Does she ever say, Dad, nah, it's not really my style?
She loves everything I create simply because it's, it's her dad. He's not making her clothes. But there's a difference when I know she puts something on and she connects with it in a certain way.
Yeah.
There's a different confidence. There's a different attitude.
Michael's relationship with his daughter is much different than the way he grew up with an absent father.
I would never want her to experience, the pain that I had growing up without a father, not having that support that, every kid deserves.
But you knew your dad, right?
So yeah, I knew him, but he wouldn't acknowledge me as his son. There were times I was in front of him saying, hi, he wouldn't speak.
The trauma of not feeling worthy of his dad's acknowledgement has stuck with Michael into his adult years. Daddy Dressed Me is a way for Michael to provide his daughter Ava with a sense of strength and confidence that he missed out on in his childhood.
What was your reaction
when you found out that you were going to be a girl dad?
The funny thing is I wanted a boy first. It makes total sense looking back on it now for me to have a daughter with how I am.
You ready to do this?
Yes.
Michael's created more than 200 outfits for Ava over the last 6 years. His fiancée, Tama, recently surprised him with a poster chronicling all of his designs.
She felt like I needed to see all that I had done, and I just burst into tears.
Why?
You get into the habit and the rhythm of just doing it, and you don't necessarily take enough time to fully acknowledge what it is that you're doing.
Ava and Michael have also taken the Daddy Dress Me brand to TikTok with creative daddy-daughter dance videos. Ava, what is it about your dad that makes him special?
His sewing, his smile, his care, his love.
Sometimes when you're out and you guys are wearing a matching outfit, I would imagine sometimes people might ask about it?
We do, a lot.
And what do you say?
I told them that Daddy made it.
Ava, he told me that he also does your hair and your nails sometimes too.
He just did my nails, and yesterday he did my hair too.
You've got a live-in fashion designer, hairstylist, and nail stylist.
I feel rich.
Which is harder, respiratory therapist or father of 3 under the age of 1?
Option B, sir. Option B.
You got quite the busy house, I would imagine. How are things right now?
Wonderful. Everybody's doing great. And like you said, it's pretty busy.
Busy is an understatement. Adez Suleiman, a respiratory therapist at Chicago's Northwestern Memorial Hospital, found out his wife was pregnant at the end of 2019. The couple was overjoyed because they've been trying to start a family for the last 5 years. Take me back. What was that like?
We had a pregnancy that we'd been fighting for forever. So we had anticipated a June baby, but then we found out some complications early periods of January that, we had some severe complications that might jeopardize this pregnancy. So my wife, Jennifer, was admitted in the hospital for observation. Somehow, some way, Jaden showed up, said, "Hey, I'm here." A little too early, a lot too early.
The couple's joy was soon tempered by the fear surrounding the premature birth of their son, Jaden, born at just 23 weeks last February, just weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic began. You've got a brand new baby who has a number of health complications.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're on the front lines of fighting this virus that we knew very little about at that point.
Right.
How were you just managing the stress of it all?
Work and the family were very, very separated at that time. What I'm dealing with outside of the hospital shouldn't really affect how I'm caring for a patient at the hospital. But yes, it was not going to be easy.
Day visited his son in the Nicu after his own long shifts at the hospital, spent working with patients on life support and putting himself at a very high risk for contracting the virus.
Was I afraid and worried about taking the virus over there? Absolutely. But I still try my best to put every precaution in place, a shower, a change of clothing, and even when I get to the NICU side of things, extra gear just to have some protection to be around him.
So we have a newborn with some health complications.
Yes.
We have the start of a pandemic. And then we find out we're pregnant again.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, it's twins.
Yes. So that did happen.
The twins, Janelle and Jordan, were born December 16th, 2020, just a few months after their firstborn, Jaden, was released from his extended time in the NICU.
I was elated. This was ecstasy. And this was another set of kids that I have to do everything in my power to just protect, to just cherish.
Which is harder, respiratory therapist or father of 3 under the age of 1?
Option B, sir. Option B. I mean, I've been around here enough to where I can manage myself. But if 2 kids are screaming, I'm confused oftentimes. I'm trying to figure out food, diaper, what is going on? Do you have a stomach ache? You're not talking, you're just screaming. Help me out, child.
The fact that all of this was going on as the pandemic raged, did that make it maybe even sweeter?
For me, yes. Having people not being able to come see their family members in their absolute most critical moments was pretty challenging, and watching people die with no one here for them. So finding out, there's some exciting thing going on, it puts a smile on my face after every shift. Once I leave here, let me go find out about what's going on this end of the spectrum where everything looks, a little challenging, but great. This is another rainbow situation for me.
So this shows if they have stuff back yet. So
when the pandemic hit last spring, Dr. Michael Torre was just 6 months into his career in emergency medicine, working alongside his father, Dr. Paul Torre, at Houston's Memorial Hermann Hospital.
He always kind of seemed interested in, pursuing a career in medicine. I never pushed him. I never pushed any of my kids.
So growing up, he would kind of talk medicine here or there, just high school, college. He would say things, how he did this, did that, and we always thought it was cool. When I started doing emergency medicine, then we could really talk very specific about what's going on, what we're doing, and really, connect about it.
But the sweetness of reaching that career goal turned sour as the pandemic surged in the Houston area last summer, filling emergency rooms.
Pandemic came 6 months into his career. There was a lot of fear. Am I going to get this stuff and then wind up in a box, or is it going to happen to my family?
Pretty much almost after every shift, we'll call each other and be like, I did this today.
Oh yeah.
Just like, I saw this today. What about you? And I think that helps without really explicitly saying, I need help.
The father-son team was put to the test on one of their first shifts working together.
There's certain things we do to resuscitate critical people. And we got to work on someone and help them out and, do the critical care procedures that we've been trained to do together at the same time.
He needed something, I just was handing it to him before he asked for it, and vice versa. I needed help doing something, and he was just ready right there.
Medicine in general is teamwork, and when you're in one place for a while, you know how your team works, and this is our first time working together. And it was teamwork, like we've been doing it for years.
But we have.
Dr. Justin Reed, a resident physician at St. Joseph's Medical Center in Mishawaka, Indiana, and a father of 5, had a busy life before the pandemic hit, but it was nothing compared to what his family has endured this past year.
I get home, everything was going directly into the washing machine, and then I was going to shower. My kids are waiting for me when I come home, excited to see me, want to jump on me, tell me about their day, but we weren't allowing it.
Acknowledging the psychological strain of the pandemic on his team, Justin's supervisor asked him to write a short essay about how he was coping. At a loss for words, Justin decided to make a drawing instead.
It's me outside of a glass window, kneeling down, reaching out my hand to my son. And then in the background, I've got flaming arrows sticking out of me. It just kind of captured the way I was feeling at the time. And I think the way a lot of us were feeling.
Tragedy struck the family in December when Justin's father-in-law and grandfather both contracted COVID-19. His father-in-law suffered a COVID-induced stroke from which he is still recovering, and his grandfather fell victim to the disease. The pair said goodbye to each other via iPads from separate hospital beds.
Grandpa couldn't speak because he was on oxygen mask, and father-in-law couldn't speak because of the stroke, and so they just cried. And it was a pretty harrowing, touching experience.
Explaining it all to his 5 kids has been the hardest part of it all.
There's been hard moments, but overall they just were willing to go with it, and they wore their masks. And even my 5-year-old, when we go out and see somebody not wearing a mask or not wearing it properly, we'll point it out and say, doesn't that guy know he could catch COVID?
With vaccines rolling out across the country and hospitalization rates declining, Justin is planning on making a new drawing to express the hope he's feeling now.
But this time, walking through that door and picking up and holding my son with my mask in my hand instead of on my face, and with a sticker that says I got vaccinated. That's the feeling that I have now, and grateful to be on this side of it.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Providence, Rhode Island Mayor, is it Jorge? Did I say it right? Yep. Alorza and his 15-month-old son Omar are familiar faces around City Hall.
So the mayor occasionally takes his son to work with him and to city events, a move that's brought praise and also raised some questions.
Yeah, I paid the mayor a visit recently to find out a little bit more. Take a look. Look at you. How did the child care arrangement here at City Hall come about?
So I remember we went to see a daycare center, and both Stephanie and I fell in love with the place. Then at the end, they passed us the brochure, and it was $395 a week. We looked at each other and we're like, I guess not.
The mayor of Providence, Rhode Island couldn't afford daycare.
It's really challenging. $395 a week, that's almost $20,000 a year.
That's in-state college tuition.
That is.
Instead of paying those high costs, the mayor enlisted Omar's grandparents who live nearby to help with most of the care during the week. But every so often, baby Omar is spotted with his father during news conferences while testifying at the State House and in mayoral meetings.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today.
It's tough. You have to make a trade-off. Are you committed to your career or are you committed to your family? As best as possible, I try to juggle it so that I can see him and still do my job as mayor.
Has there been any criticism?
There have been comments that if I was a woman and I was bringing my child into work, then that would be seen very, very differently.
But what do you say to that?
I think that's true. I think there's still absolutely a double standard. And the extension of that isn't, well, let's criticize Jorge the way women are criticized. It's let's not criticize women for doing it either. Yay!
The mayor's wife, Stephanie Gonzalez, a full-time law student, had some initial reservations about baby Omar going to work with dad.
I worried about what people might say, and certainly there are naysayers about whether he should be coming to City Hall or whether he should be present at meetings.
But Stephanie sees Omar's time on the job with his dad as an important life lesson.
It's an opportunity for him to learn that his parents are busy people, but also his parents are people who are doing really important work.
Omar! What do you say to those who have contended bringing kids into work? That is a surefire way to tank productivity.
I understand that, and I try not to bring my child in during, Monday through Friday, normal business hours, very often. Sometimes I do when I'm in a pinch. I'll bring him into the office. We have a nice little basket of toys, so he knows his little station and he knows how to play.
The mayor is not the only politician taking his baby to work. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser takes her daughter to events. Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth took her 10-day-old baby to the Senate floor to cast a vote last year. And Massachusetts State Legislator Dan Cullinane bottle-fed his baby while testifying for his district earlier this month. What do you want other dads to take away from this?
It's not just about taking them in the swing set and the playground on weekends. It's about being an active, engaged parent throughout.
Omar, when you grow up, do you want to be mayor?
You should see his little wave. He has a little mayor wave already.
Do you occasionally get a, yeah, hey, Mayor, it's good to see you. Where's Omar?
Oh my God, I get that all the time. Sometimes I walk into places and say, you know, I'm here too, folks.
That's funny.
Baby Omar, by the way, took his first steps there inside the mayor's office. So, according to the Parenting in the Workplace Institute, more than 200 employers across this country offer Bring Your Baby to Work programs. Every now and then, you walk around our newsroom here.
Oh, sure.
Hey, Today All Day, we've got a great show for you on this Monday morning, including an all-day exclusive chat you can only see here. But let's kick it off with Pop Start. The Global Citizen Festival brought together some of the biggest names. Plus, we got a sneak peek at season 2 of Bridgerton. Take a look.
Let's start Pop Start with the Global Citizen Live fundraising event that took place in Central Park over the weekend. The biggest stars in Hollywood and music showed up to support the cause with performances from Coldplay, Lizzo, and BTS. But who else can steal the stage like your buddy Hoda, Jennifer Lopez? Check out this moment from J-Lo's performance of her big summer smash.
It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, avanza, left, right, left, avanza. 1, 2, step, avanza. All she wanna do is just
Work it, Hoda, work it, 2 and 3 and 4. Wrapping up their New York tour, Prince Harry and Meghan also stopped by the Global Citizen stage to call out vaccine inequality around the world, and here's a little bit of what they had to say.
This year, the world's expected to produce enough doses to meet the target of vaccinating 70% of people in every single country. But it is wrong that so much of the vaccine supply has only gone to just 10 wealthy nations so far and not everyone else.
My wife and I believe that where you're born should not dictate your ability to survive.
All right, next up, Bridgerton. Netflix held a massive online fan event over the weekend. What? Previewing the streaming services.
Despacito?
What? Yeah. Upcoming slate for their original movies and shows, including season 2 of the smash hit. Eldest Bridgerton brother Anthony set to take center stage. In a first look at the new season, we see him chasing after series newcomer Kate Shama, played by Simone Ashley. Here's a peek of that.
You take issue with my requirements?
I take issue with any man who views women merely as chattels and breeding stock.
None of that was meant for you.
Viscount Bridgerton, yes. When you manage to find this paragon of virtue, whatever makes you think she will accept your suit? Are the young ladies of London truly so easily won by a pleasing smile and absolutely nothing more?
So you find my smile pleasing?
I find your opinion of yourself entirely too high. Your character.
You guys watch Bridgerton?
Even
Craig watches Bridgerton. And 2 don't.
You do,
Craig and
you
Al
know
don't
you
watch
do.
it.
I did.
I don't know
Yes,
what's
you do.
on there.
I'm not proud of it, but I did.
I have not watched it.
That's popular. That show's really popular.
It's really good.
Season 2 of Bridgerton set to hit
Have
Netflix
you watched What If?
next year.
No, she's not.
Speaking of Netflix, we've got another first look from the streamers' weekend event. This one previewing the highly anticipated film Don't Look Up. Get this, the all-star cast. You got Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence. They play astronomers who go to the White House to warn the president and chief of staff, who, by the way, is played by Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill, about an asteroid headed towards Earth. What a crazy plot. The only problem, the government does not seem that concerned.
Whoa. I'm so bored. Just tell us what it is. Seriously, stop.
What Dr. Mindy is trying to say is that there's a comet headed directly towards Earth.
And then what happens, like a tidal wave?
It will be far more catastrophic. There will be mile-high tsunamis.
So how certain is this?
There's 100% certainty of impact.
Please, don't say 100%.
Can we just call it a potentially significant event?
But it isn't potentially going to happen.
99.78% to be exact.
Oh, great. Okay, so it's not 100%.
How about that cast? That cast and that plot.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition of that's crazy.
Wow, it's like Asteroid meets Wag the Dog.
It's going to be a hit.
Yeah. Don't Look Up is in select theaters on December 10th, and on Netflix on Christmas Eve you can watch that. And finally, A$AP Rocky. 2 weeks ago, the rapper hit the carpet at the Met Gala looking cozy alongside Rihanna. Now we're learning more about that fluffy quilt. It was like a cape that he was snuggled up in. A woman named Sarah sharing on Instagram that the quilt he was wearing was something that her great-grandmother handmade. Jeez. It was donated to an antique store in California where A$AP Rocky's designer bought it, picked it up, and made it into that cape and used it as the base for the Met Gala look. Sarah writing, when I saw the Met Gala photo, I realized instantly that had to be the same quilt.
Wow.
Looks like great-grandma Mary went to the Met Gala with A$AP Rocky. Sarah then shared an update that she spoke with the designer who outfitted A$AP Rocky and told her followers, don't worry, I still have plenty of other pieces from great-grandma.
Wow. What a great story.
Wow. I know that quilt.
Oh my gosh, well, it's memorable.
Up next on Today Talks, Al refreshes his space for fall. Stay with us.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world. Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition. The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing. So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for? Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine. The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Today on the third hour, Al spent his weekend cleaning out his closet, and Craig has an exciting announcement. Check it out.
I see you had a pretty productive weekend.
Well, cleaned out the closet. Moved from spring, summer to winter, fall.
Wow.
Right in. Cut back. I had been violating over the pandemic.
What is that?
1 in, 1 out.
Yeah.
So I went through, got a lot of stuff I'm donating to my church. And
Bottom right, what is that? What was that? Can we pull that picture?
Wait, I recognize that. Is that from your holiday card?
That's my Christmas jacket.
And you don't want to let that go?
When do you wear that?
At Christmas.
Oh, just on Christmas Day?
Well, the holiday season, if you know.
I've never seen you wear that.
He tried to hide that one in there. Did you see that?
You don't wear that on TV, do you?
No, but
okay.
I wear it around.
You have so many
moving
blazers.
On. And you and I got.
It was nice.
How was your
We had
thing?
a guy's lunch.
Had a nice guy's lunch. It was delightful.
Yeah, we just sat outside, had a little aperitivo and some lunch. It was fantastic.
Delightful.
What was for lunch?
What did you have?
I had a lamb kebab, and you had a salad with shrimp.
A salad?
A shrimp salad.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Don't judge me.
Well,
Speaking of lunch,
there are lamb kebabs.
Think about lunch. You had
So
a
yeah, we had a
picnic.
family picnic this weekend. It was really nice.
In
the
look at
city,
that.
we
That is
did.
just
We
great.
lost Daddy. He was somewhere.
Okay.
Well,
Daddy wasn't invited to the picnic.
I guess you've got to put on a little tracker on him or something. How careless of you.
We lost him, but we still took a selfie anyway.
All right.
It's to the point now when I take pictures with my kids, I have to bribe them. It's so horrible. They'll be like, so if we take this picture, if we smile, then what do we get? I'm like, no, we're going to take a picture just because.
You get to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
You get room and board
in this
That's what
house.
you get.
You were on the cover of Vanity Fair.
That's
I'm just
not
kidding.
true.
He's on the cover issue of Guideposts, Just as Sweet. The article is actually written by you.
Oh, that's.
What did you write about?
You know what? I actually. I haven't read the article yet, but Al said.
But you wrote it.
I did write it.
And
Al said. Al said it turned out okay.
It's a
Don't put
lovely-
anybody on the cover of the magazine.
please.
No, it's a very lovely magazine. It's a lovely article, and you and your father, both doing just a wonderful thing, shining this light on addiction, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
And I also wrote about my faith and the power of prayer. And a lot of times people pray for things. We treat God like he's some sort of genie.
Sure.
God, I want this. And so I write a little bit about my relationship with my faith over time and how it's changed, how it's evolved in a good way. I would contend, but yeah. So hopefully it does some good.
It will do some good.
They clean up those pictures a lot.
Look great.
Oh, come on, you're a good looking guy.
On Thursday, we'll get that. I'm sure you've heard from people who, I know for sure, who your book has made such a difference.
I've heard from a number of folks,
Yeah.
so just trying to do some good. I'm trying to get into heaven, Chanel.
There you go.
We'll see.
We all have a little
Hopefully
more work
you have some time left.
Coming up on a Hoda and Jenna Masterclass Monday on a kitchen staple you don't want to miss.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Welcome back today on Hoda and Jenna. Joy Bauer's back with all the details about cooking oils and their health benefits. Take a look.
Well, on our Saturday, we actually planned one thing, and it was there's a place called White Post Farm kind of in our general area.
Yes.
So I thought, well, it's going to be a farm. They'll have pumpkins, and you pick some apples and see a cow and la-di-da. This place was cray. So you get there. There literally are kids holding carrot sticks with giraffes reaching over and taking it like from their hands. No, they give baby bottles. You can buy them for like $3, and you take the baby bottle, you feed the goat through the thing. They were like, here, you can feed that. I go, are those zebras? They give you an ice cream cone with like pellets in it or something, and you put the cone out.
Yes.
And these animals.
Were you doing this or your children?
My kids were, but I was like, give me a carrot. I was done. Look,
there they are.
Look, I'm talking about like reaching down. Wait, hi.
First of all,
wait.
Why is Hope a teenager?
Hope is a teenager. She's 2.5. She's not scared. But it was just so. Look, I mean, the giraffe is like in the photo. Like, hey, I'm over here. Gerald from the book is here. But it was so wild and so much fun.
Now, you know what is? First of all, you never went to a pumpkin patch last year, and I know because I never went to. You went before October.
Well, they had a whole patch. You just walked through and you could pick one.
Did you pick the pumpkins?
We picked some pumpkins, and they had like a magic show and a dog show. It was, and it's so spread out that it doesn't feel crowded.
Yes.
The people were so nice. Like, I'm so shocked about how much fun it was. I thought it was going to be one of those kind of, you get pushed through, okay, get the cotton candy.
Yes.
There was a hay ride. We did that. Wait. The kids rode. They have a train. You have to be 3 feet tall or whatever. My 2 girls were sitting by themselves, looking like they couldn't believe it, because they're 2.5 and 4.5. I was watching them on that train. I was just thinking to myself, like, oh my God, and they kept waving, and they would get lost in the weeds and then back again. Anyway.
Well, it was, you know what?
So fun.
I would have met you.
Oh, you would have?
Yeah, I mean, remember the U.S. Open gate?
Oh,
remember U.S. Open gate?
Oh, you mean when you were with Brad Pitt and Bradley Cooper and I was home? Yes.
Okay, so I was home, and we'd always sort of talked about pumpkin patches, and I live right by that farm.
You do?
I sure do.
Not far.
Not right by is a little exaggerated.
Nearby. Well, how about this next week? Why don't we go again? Because my girls
You're
are saying,
gonna go
and
twice?
they have pony rides. Like it was really that fun.
Okay,
even
if you're
for
going to go
grown-ups.
twice, and after you disinfected them with Purell, I'm in.
Okay.
It was Broadway's big night last night. The Tonys.
Wow, yeah.
The 74th annual Tony Awards. It honored the best achievements in the 2019-2020 season because it was postponed.
Well, you know, if you were going to pick one night, I mean, look, there were a lot. Moulin Rouge won a ton of awards.
And Moulin Rouge is so good.
You saw it.
I saw it before the pandemic. It is. I can't tell you how much fun it is. We should also go see that.
I love the movie.
I love the movie. And I will have to, and I loved the movie. I always loved it. But I have to say I like it even better than the movie.
Okay, I want to see
it. They do all these mashups with current music, which I know sounds like...
No, I love that. That's one of my favorite things.
So good.
Oh, really?
I saw it twice.
Oh, okay.
I saw it twice. I was like, what's happening?
No, I was wondering when. Okay, I'll go with you again. Okay. But there was one moment that everybody's talking about. Okay, you guys know from maybe you haven't seen the Broadway show Dreamgirls on Broadway, but you saw the movie. Jennifer Holliday is famous for singing that song, I'm Not Telling You. This is her singing it from the hit musical Dreamgirls. Take a listen. Jennifer Holliday.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
She had everybody on their feet. You know when you can feel somebody singing something?
Yes.
Like
you
could
they believe
feel
it.
that.
Yes. So she won the Tony in '82. She portrayed Effie White in Dreamgirls, and she has got a Grammy for that recorded version of the song. And a lot of people remember Jennifer Hudson playing that role in the movie.
Oh my gosh,
wow.
Jennifer Holliday.
That was amazing.
And that was the performance was in tribute to the musical's 40th anniversary.
Oh.
I mean, that's incredible. All right, and as we said, Moulin Rouge won 10 awards. Y'all should go see it if you're in New York. It's
I want to
really
see
good.
that. Okay.
It's really, really good. We should go.
All right, so if you are in the dating world, or if you have been, which most people at least have been at some point, would you end a possible relationship because of horrible table manners? Is that something that would be a deal breaker for you?
If really horrible, yes.
Depends on how horrible, right?
It'd have to be really horrible.
Yeah.
But you know when somebody is just like this?
What do you mean?
With their fork completely around it.
Hovering. Who did that? Someone you dated. Did they do it at dinner and you just watched that?
Kind of. Just slopped
on top
over.
of it. Well, the survey says that 3 in 5 Americans would end a date early or break up with somebody if they had an annoying food habit.
Okay, the biggest bad food habits, talking with your mouth full.
I know.
Have you ever done it?
Yeah.
Probably me too.
Yeah.
Chewing loudly.
One time I was on a plane happily reading all by myself, and some lady next to me tapped me on the shoulder and said, I cannot stand the way you're chomping on your gum. You need to stop. I was horrified.
What did you say?
I said
did
I
you
was
wanna
sorry.
Cry?
Yes. And I was in the windows. I was trapped in there. I couldn't get out. You know that feeling?
Oh.
And I felt horrible. Horrible. And I remember just sitting there and I said, do I chew loudly? And I do. I knew I did because my mom always said, you gotta stop doing that. But when I was into the book, I just wasn't thinking. I was chomping it, probably snapping it.
You probably were blowing bubbles.
Well, yeah.
But you know what?
It was
is
so
hard?
annoying
What's
for
hard
that lady.
Is that when you get reprimanded, you go back to basically being 5.
Oh, I know.
And being like, okay. Did you kind of want to cry and spit out your gum right away?
I did spit it out right away, and I felt like the whole flight was endless. I was like, get me off this plane. It was the worst. But that is a big no-no for people, chomping.
Chomping is gross. And then also on the list of no-nos, dropping food on the floor and then eating it. It depends where you drop it.
It depends if you're at home. It
depends when you drop it. Sometimes I drop things and Henry's like, "Why? What did you just do?" Or for example, like there's Cheerios on the ground and you sort of forget and just put it in your mouth. Have you ever done it?
Yeah. Well, because I don't mind. Our floor is usually kind of clean.
Cleanish. Okay. Well, So
I think to me also just how you treat people. It's so clear at a meal. It's so clear. Like, are you a good tipper? Are you kind? Are you
That's
polite?
a bigger turnoff to me than bad.
Me too.
Bad eating.
Or I didn't get if you don't get what you want, how do you act about it? Because sometimes things go wrong.
Yeah,
that's life.
Exactly.
All right, by now, olive oil is probably a staple in many of your kitchens, but what about those other oils that you see in the supermarket? You've seen them: avocado oil, grapeseed oil, coconut oil.
If you know nothing about them, because we really don't.
We know nothing.
Okay, we are so happy because today's Masterclass Monday is for all of us. So take notes, okay? Because today nutritionist Joy Bauer is here with everything you need to know.
First of all, this is the first time I'm seeing Joy in person. Okay, I've known you since the beginning of our show, since its inception many years ago, and I cannot believe this is the first time I'm laying eyes on you.
Lunged across the studio. We needed the Chariots of Fire music.
All right,
we're so happy.
Let's get busy because extra virgin olive oil has got to be a staple. This is your number one.
Everything.
Extra virgin olive oil is like the king of all oils, and extra virgin comes from the first pressing of olives. So as you can imagine, it has all of the good stuff. It not only has, it's called monounsaturated heart healthy fat, but it also has a lot of antioxidants. And what's really interesting too is that, like grapes and wine, olives have a lot of different personalities. So you can get a smooth extra virgin olive oil, or you can get a robust extra virgin olive oil.
Some of them say cold pressed or whatever. Is there something you're supposed to get, or does it matter?
You know, if you get extra virgin olive oil, because there's tight regulation, you know it's extra a quality. And it has a high smoke point, so it's good for grilling, roasting, sautéing, and obviously salad dressings and marinades.
Some people eat it. Like have spoonfuls of it. That's kind of a new thing.
Well, we like to just dunk our crusty bread in it, but I don't know that I would just take a spoonful.
What is this, avocado oil?
So this is avocado oil, and be on the lookout because this is the new kid on the block. And when you look at the makeup of avocado oil, honestly, it's just as impressive as extra virgin olive oil. But here's the thing with it. First off, it also has, I have to say, a higher smoke point than olive oil, and it also has a more neutral-like flavor. So olive oil you wouldn't want to bake with because it brings that olivey taste to you, but avocado you can. The only caveat is it's not so mainstream now, so it's a little bit pricey, and you don't necessarily know what you're getting. But I would say jump forward 2 years from now, that's going to be all over the place.
Next up, we got a bunch to get to.
Okay, canola oil, and I'm going to say, and this is grapeseed oil. Canola oil and grapeseed oil is like a nice versatile oil. They have a high smoke point. When I say high smoke point, that means it's the temperature that an oil will start to break down and provide smoke. So the higher the smoke point, the more versatile it is. These are inexpensive, but I'm going to tell you, they do not have the health perks of extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil.
So you wouldn't, but you would maybe use this in your baking.
Exactly, because there's no flavor. It won't change the flavor of your recipe.
Coconut oil, we think this
is a hottie. People, they think this is the healthiest.
I think this is the healthiest.
Wrong.
Oh no.
It's a really big myth. It's super trendy and it's very buzzy, but here's the story. Coconut oil is one of the only oils that provides a huge amount of saturated fat. And we know that saturated fat, and through studies, the saturated fat in coconut oil elevates LDL, that's the lousy cholesterol. So here's what I would say. There's a lot of attributes to it. It has something called MCT oil in it. It's solid at room temperature, so it adds a lot of integrity and texture to recipes. Use it as an accent oil, like sparingly.
What's an accent? Like what would, tell how you would use this.
So what I would say, if a recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of oil, use 1.5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and then a little bit of the coconut. Exactly.
This is sesame oil.
Sesame oil is fabulous. You only need a little bit. It has a potent, delicious, nutty, yummy flavor. It's for Asian-inspired recipes. You could get regular or toasted. And again, just a little bit is all you need. Really delicious. This one is
vegetable oil, which. Or maybe we might be mixed up.
No, vegetable oil, this might be the sesame. This is the vegetable oil. And vegetable oil is really, it's confusing. It's an umbrella term for anything that's plant-based. So every single oil we just went through, it falls under the vegetable oil. And because they're usually blends, it's really hard for me to weigh in on the different health attributes.
I usually use that for baking. But okay.
It's another good one for baking, yes.
These are the infused. You know, these are the ones we love.
So I made these last night. This is extra virgin olive oil, and this one I infused with rosemary. I just simmered it with a little bit of rosemary. This one is garlic chili.
I love the garlic chili.
They're so delicious, and I'm going to show everybody on Instagram how to make these because they're so simple.
That rosemary is delicious.
Isn't this great?
You put that on some potatoes or something.
Yep.
Wow, it really did get...
All right, Joy, thank you.
Today Talks continues after the break. We have an exclusive chat you can only see here on Today All Day.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are...
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today Talks and our exclusive content you can only see here on Today All Day.
Hi.
Hi. We're back together.
Yes, we are.
I'm like, what do we have to say?
Well, we have so many things to discuss. Some things are upcoming and we can't. Can we talk about your interview tomorrow with Alan Jackson?
Yes.
We won't say anything about it, but there have been a lot of people who have been curious about Alan Jackson. He's had some performances and fans have been curious about what exactly is going on with him.
You know, first of all, he's the most kind, humble, lovely human being. And I didn't realize what he's been through over the last couple of years. His daughter lost her husband who fell at their lake house. Oh, no. They'd just been married briefly. He lost his mom, who he was so close to. So he hasn't recorded, there was like a 6-year period where he didn't record any music. Right. He has a new album out, and he has something really important to share. Yeah, personal. But it's like he was also kind of nervous, and which I loved, you know, and vulnerable, and also was I think, you know, so many times people are like, but other people have bigger things.
You know, it's so interesting you say that. First of all, Alan Jackson's people and him called you to have this, to kind of relay this story. And I was just thinking about sometimes the awesome responsibility of this job, because sometimes we forget about those kind of things. But sometimes I remember feeling this a lot when I was working at Dateline and other times too, but people are trusting you with their secret. And they want it handled with kid gloves. Yes. And it's so personal. And sometimes these are things they've never spoken about before. You're the person they're talking to. And it's such an awesome responsibility when you think about sitting across from someone and they're saying something that, just like Alan Jackson is about to tell you, something he's never said before publicly. And he's relying on you to take care of him. And aren't you sometimes, I'm so nervous, am I gonna do this?
And that, yes, in this case, but always, right? Yeah. I think about that a lot. Yeah. The privilege it is to tell somebody's story, and not just like the one side that we all know. No. Because I've been the person where I've sat across from somebody who thinks they know me, you know, and has sort of preconceived thoughts of what they think I am.
Do you try to, that's a good point. So do you try to convince them? Are you trying to show them, like, you don't know me, this is who I am?
No, I mean, maybe deep down, it's more like I know when somebody's open to learning about me and to hearing about me. And I've known, and this was maybe before, you know, but I also know when somebody already thinks, well, I know what she is. I know who she is.
About.
I know who her family is. I know this.
Yeah.
I know her. And really, very few people do.
Right. They don't know. And that goes for not just someone who you might. Because sometimes you look at somebody who's in the public eye and you think, oh, well,
I know them.
I know them. They don't have, their life is easy. They have everything paid for. What do they have to worry about? But I think that is one of those things, because I've been thinking about that in real life too, just about not judging someone because you catch a snippet of them.
Yeah.
Like if I see someone yelling at their kid, and that could be me yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to, but it's like a moment, and someone says, "Oh, well, I know them."
Her.
And I've had that, like on Twitter. Someone said, "Oh, well, I saw Hoda do X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, is that when I was dropping all my bags and I couldn't find my credit card and my kid was running away?" Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
In that 10-second moment.
I know, we all think,
Yeah.
and I think that goes for people that are in the spotlight and not.
Yeah.
We see somebody, we think we know their
Right,
story.
someone at the bus stop. It's like, oh, there's the mom who
And we never know
you don't
what
know.
people are going through.
Yeah.
So I think it's our job when you're meeting with whether it's somebody that we know or somebody we don't, to really listen.
Brand new people.
And
like,
tell their story authentically.
Yes.
And that's tricky, right?
Yeah.
Because
well, this is all. This is a long way of saying I'm really looking forward to this Alan Jackson interview tomorrow. It's going to be interesting.
I flew home thinking there's days of work where it feels like you're really full, and it felt like that.
Wow.
I loved listening to him.
Okay. All right. We're going to have that, and well, that's it for this episode of Today Talks. Keep watching for more of Today All Day.
So from what I understand, you didn't set out, if you will, to write a memoir, but your life story, I've heard that it seemed to pour out of you. Is that true?
Well, I wanted to write a bunch of policy papers on how to enable a system to help young families balance work and family. That's really where I started. But people said that's too dry. Nobody's going to read policy papers unless you inform it with your life. And so this book is a memoir, but it's really telling the story of my life, to derive the lessons that would lead to the moonshot, which is how to create a support structure to help young family builders balance work and life.
Let's take it a step at a time. You talk about your story. It begins in India, and you paint such a vivid picture of your childhood.
It was surreal almost, because I felt like I was back home, in my ancestral home. When we talked about the swing, I felt like I was sitting there. I could feel the wind, the whoosh. And I almost woke up and said, Grandpa's calling me.
You also talk about the prioritizing of education. Talk to me a little bit about that and how important it was.
Everything was about education. As long as you got good grades, you were given freedom to do other things. But grades were paramount. You had to do well in school, because the belief was a good education is the foundation for your future. And that was a non-negotiable item. Homework came first when you came home from school. And report cards were checked. All your schoolwork was checked down to what mistakes did you make. I mean, why did you get a dictation test wrong? You had to rewrite the words, 25, 30 times. So it was a maniacal focus on education. And my grandfather took it upon himself to be the teacher, the guide, the mentor, everything. He was the constant force in our life.
How did they balance the cultural tug of war of making sure as a woman you were going to eventually find someone to get married, or your domestic duties versus education and academics and career? Was there a tug of war, or was it a tap dance, if you will?
Kind of, one foot on the brake, one foot on the accelerator. My family believed that girls should soar and dream as much as the boys. So there should be no difference between the girls and the boys. So it was interesting that our family felt that way. And remember, I was born 8 years after India got independence. India was under British rule for 350 years. The British occupied India. They left in 1947. I was born in 1955. So it was the early years of India. India was trying to figure out what kind of a country it was going to be. And women were just emerging on the scene. I was among the early group of women to go to college, to go into business school. So it was like frame breaking in so many ways. And in my family, it was like, let the girls dream. Do not hold them back. That's what my father and my grandfather would say, and my mother too. On the other hand, she'll say, I'm going to find you a guy at 18 and get you married off, because society expected that. So she had the foot on the brake and a foot on the accelerator. And that's the environment we grew up under, but we knew that my grandfather and my father would never allow us to be married early unless we wanted to get married. And they would make sure that if we wanted to study more work, they would give us the support, which is what the men in our family did.
So that certainly wasn't typical in all families. How grateful are you that you had that type of support?
In those days, you didn't think of gratitude because you just said, hey, we're daughters, we can do whatever we want. In retrospect, I'm in awe of what my grandfather and my father and my mother, to a large extent, because she was part of the society, right? She could have been absolutely vilified and said, how can you allow your daughters to go work? She just said, no, that's what they want to do, let them go do it. They want to study, let them study. She never held us back.
So if we were to fast forward to when you started climbing the corporate ladder at a time where you probably didn't see a lot of faces that looked like yours, you are a woman, an immigrant, a person of color. What was it like sometimes in those boardrooms or when you were sitting at those tables when you didn't see faces that looked like you?
I was among the very, very early group of people to come into the corporate world. So I knew there wouldn't be too many people like me. As a woman, as an immigrant, person of color, in every which way I struck out. So it actually made me work harder and better because I'd feel like I was in a hole every time I went into a meeting, that people are looking at me like she must not belong here. So I was in that hole in my mind and I had to dig myself out of it and then earn a seat at the table. So I always came over-prepared, had more of the material mastered to demonstrate my supreme competency. So in the first few meetings, I would quickly establish that I was a force to be reckoned with, that I deserved a seat at the table, if not at the head of the table. So unknowingly, the fact that my mind took me into a hole and digging out of it resulted in my performing better than anybody else around the table.
In your book, you talk about even just the journey to get to the corporate ladder, right? And all of the things you had to do and speaking up, even when people were speaking up, and trying to interrupt you. Then fast forward to when you were in the boardroom, did you feel confident that you deserved a seat at the table and that you could, hang with the boys, so to speak?
Yes and no. It's like a duck that looks very calm on top, but underneath you're rowing. Yeah. So you feel like, man, I've arrived. You look around and you go, I'm sitting at the head of the table. Inside you've got butterflies. Because when you reach the top, Chanel, you can be pushed off the top very fast. You've got to earn that position at the top every day. As a CEO, the world is looking at you. People want you to fail. More people want you to fail than they want to succeed, see you succeed. And so you're always a little bit uneasy. But after a while, you get your groove. And you say, you know what, I'm pretty damn good. And until you get that groove, which takes about 4 or 5 years into CEOship, you still have those butterflies in your stomach. In a way, I think those butterflies in the stomach are good because they keep you on your toes.
Before you got to that point where you said, you know what, I'm good, I can do this, were there any specific stories, are there any memories that stick out in your head that made you say, what was that?
I don't think I ever said I can be CEO at any point. I always was like, I don't know if I'm good enough to be CEO, or, let's not think about the CEO job, let's talk about the job I'm doing exceedingly well. I think if I'd focused on the CEO job, I might have forgotten the job I had to do. And so I just focused on the job to do it better than anybody else could and just kept going that way. So when the call came to be CEO, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to be it? Holy cow, I'm going to be in the center of attention and I have to deliver and this is my agenda now. How am I going to do it? I hope I have the ability, the courage, the confidence. You start to question a lot of things about yourself until you develop that sort of inner courage to face the world.
What is the secret to that inner courage?
You have to draw on your reserve of competence first. You cannot do these jobs unless you're supremely good at what you do, the subject matter. So that you have to always draw on that competence factor first. Once you have competence, courage and confidence comes quickly on top. And the thing that I was told by my outgoing CEO was, even if you're nervous and uncertain about something, don't show it. Because everybody's looking at you. Show courage, show confidence, show calm. And sit within the 4 walls of your office and think through and struggle with issues. But outwardly show calm, because there's too much riding on your courage, your calmness. So I learned those skills. The great thing is I had mentors who taught me all those things.
Were they all male mentors?
All males. But I was surrounded by them. But the amazing thing is they took it upon them to reach out, give me that advice, tell me I'm doing something wrong, give me experiences that otherwise I wouldn't have sought. So I owe them all an incredible debt of gratitude.
What do you think it was about your work ethic or about you that led a lot of those men back in the day, if you will, to support you and help propel you in your career?
I never, ever was given a job that I didn't deliver. I was about the most reliable person, and I would kill until I delivered for whoever I was working for. Second is, whoever I worked for had my undying loyalty. I never, ever, ever let them down on anything. And I always looked at the job through, how can I make their life better? How can I make their life easier? Because I know what the CEO job is like. I had a seat up front watching it. And so I do everything possible to make their life easy. And they saw that. They said that, look, I remember one example where I'd made prepared a presentation for the board, and I gave it to the CEO and said, here's the big presentation of the board. Could you look at it? He said, have you checked it? I said, yeah. He said, what am I going to find that's wrong? You've checked it through and through, so I don't want to see it. Take it away. But it showed a level of confidence in me, which I'd earned. Basically, he was saying, you always turn in a product that you check, recheck, triple check. And I think that's what made them want to mentor me. And in turn, they got my undying loyalty.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
having
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
having
How old were your kids when you hit the peak of your career there and when you became CEO?
So when I became CEO, my kids were all young. One was a teenager going through difficult years, and the other was entering teenage years. So it was a difficult time, believe me. But the good thing is my office was 10 minutes from home, and the young one's school was 10 minutes from the office. So I lived in that triangular bubble, if you want to call it that.
Trust me, a lot of us can relate.
That made a huge difference, Chanel, because if there was a problem in school, I just ran out. I don't care what meeting I was in, I ran out. If my kids were not well at home, I went home during the day a couple of 3 times to just check on how they were and came back. So I lived in this bubble, physical bubble, if you want to call it that, between home, school, and office, and made a huge difference. Had I had to commute for an hour or 2, would have been a whole different problem.
I know so many women who feel like, okay, if I mastered what my work today, then I feel like I failed at home. And if I was all in at home, I feel like I failed at work. And I feel like there are a lot of people who feel like they just can't balance it all.
It's a real challenge. And I do not even use the word balance anymore. It's like juggling. You just have to juggle everything. Even I feel like, not that I failed at home, I didn't do enough at home. And when I did a lot at home, I felt like, oh my God, I neglected something at work. So that tug and pull is a reality, and we have to live with it. I think the best you can do is to say, at the end of the day, I'm going to do the best I can for my family, the best I can for my job, and hope to God my spouse gets taken care of.
I know my husband's like, woohoo, I'm over here. Like,
That's
I'm
exactly
sorry.
what he said. Exactly. My husband always says, your list is PepsiCo, PepsiCo, PepsiCo. Then it's your kids, as if it's not his kids.
Yeah.
Then he says your mom. Somewhere at the bottom, there's me. And I go, see, just be happy you're on the list.
That's good. That's good. So was there a time, actually I know there was a time that really kind of pulled on my heartstrings where your daughter, I guess she wrote you a letter. Take me back to that time.
I think she was about 4 or 5, and I still keep that letter in my desk. And the note goes, Mom, please come home. Please, please, please come home. I love you more if you came home. Please, 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 please. And she drew a cloud and some flowers and her looking up, waiting for me to come. Now, that's a reality because there were times when we were doing transformations and acquisitions, I was working nonstop. I mean, I had Raj, my husband was at home, my mother was at home and off. My mother-in-law would come in to help. So we had family, but they wanted mommy.
So when you got that letter, I mean, it's cute now, but when you first got that letter from your daughter, did it just break your heart?
Break my heart's an understatement. So, my other daughter had a journal entry which said, waited at the window for mom to come home. It's now 10 o'clock. And, our babysitter says, I have to go to sleep, but I have something really, 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 really important to tell mommy. When I read those journal entries, I boo-hoo-hoo in my room, but that's reality, When you only have so many hours in the day and you're doing 4 or 5 full-time jobs, okay, it's hard. So there's some sort of juggling you have to do, and you do the best you can.
Would you have done anything differently?
I don't know. I'm wired a certain way. And to be honest, I studied a lot, I worked a lot, and I loved my jobs. I loved my family, I loved my husband, I loved my kids.
Did they understand that you were trailblazing at the time?
No.
Of course they didn't.
Of course not.
Of course they didn't.
They don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I was just looking at this when you joined PepsiCo in 1994. 15 of the top 15 executives were American men. Not one Fortune 500 company had a female CEO.
Yep.
We talked about the fact that you didn't fit the mold. You often had to stand up for yourself, kind of hold your ground, as the only woman at the table. What was that like at the time?
The fact that I was different, I was used to it because all through my life up to that point, I was always the only woman in the room. And forget the fact that I was an immigrant and person of color, I was the only woman in the room. So I was used to that. It was a good environment to be a part of then, even though all of them looked the same, came from the same background. Remember, the ideal senior executive of those days looked like that. So there was no different in PepsiCo. But imagine what it looks like now. The face of PepsiCo has changed so much. We've come a long way.
It's so interesting because you say that you set out to, almost like write policy papers, and now you're sharing, very deep and personal things from your journey. Are you happy that you shared those things with us?
Partly uncomfortable, partly happy. It's not easy to write these stories because you're putting your life out for the whole world to read and talk about, right? And so in some ways it feels a little uncomfortable. So I had to really make sure my husband was okay with everything I was saying because he matters to me more than anything else. He read it, he suggested edits, he said, this chapter doesn't read well. He was a really good contributor. My kids have barely read it. They said, Mom, it should be fine. It should be fine, What are you going to say that's new? We know what you're going to say. You've said it all. They're okay with it. But for me, even looking at the pictures, I'm like, oh God, this takes me back into my life in India, memory lane, my kids growing up. I look at my kids with these cheeks and I want to pinch them and hug them now. So I go through all of those feelings. But at the end of the day, it's a story worth telling.
And why did you want to tell it?
Because talking about what needs to be done to balance work and family and the support structure we need to build is more credible when you talk about the fact that I too went through those struggles. It's not that I was born with a support structure and it was me just sailing through life. I had to worry about all these issues. There were times I had to juggle. There were times where my kids, looked at me and used me as a punching bag because I wasn't there. I've been through all of these issues. And so I understand what people are going through. The big blessing was, since I moved up in the corporate career, I had money to afford my own help. A lot of people today don't have it.
You were able to afford help, and you also had your mother.
That made a huge difference.
Yes.
Multi-generational living. Hey, there's problems with it. Don't think it's a cakewalk, okay? Yeah. But on balance, it's a much better thing to have your parents with you. In my case, my mother and my in-laws helped so much.
How did she react to, this was new for her too, her daughter who was working so much and she was home, did she ever pull you aside and say, what are you doing?
Now and then she'd say, just give up your job and just stay home. It's enough is enough. I told that to my kids one day. I said, they said, Mom, you never come to school, you don't do this and you don't do that. I said, fine, I'll quit my job and I'll stay home and take care of you guys. It lasted about 10 seconds, that comment, and they go, Mom, you can't quit your job. You've worked so hard for it, Mom, one kid said. The other kid said, my older one said, what I really need is two of you. One who's a mom at home and the other one who's the CEO or this executive, so that, somehow we can balance both. So they're very proud of their mom, but they also love their mom and want their mom.
I think you're right. I think it was more powerful before you talked about the importance of work-life balance and what needs to happen to make that a possibility for women around the country, around the globe, that you share your story. But now, is it realistic that we'll see change? I think we've heard people say this before. What has to change in order to make this a reality for so many women around the world?
I think the first thing we have to do is, when we talk about future of work, especially post-pandemic and with all the technologies coming in, we have to just stop talking about technology and robotics and automation and start to talk about families, family builders, women. Think of the jobs of the future. They're knowledge economy and there are lots of caring jobs. For both we need women, because the knowledge economy requires the smartest people. Women are 70% of the high school valedictorians. They graduate in college at 10 points higher than the men. They have a whole point of GPA that's better than the men in STEM degrees. They're getting 48% of STEM degrees, 30% of engineering degrees. We need these women in the workforce. We want to give them the choice to be in paid work. If they don't want to, that's their choice. But we want to give them the support structure so they can contribute to the betterment of the country. And I think people now are beginning to recognize that we are in a war for talent. And we need the best and the brightest, which means all the women who want to work, young family builders who want to be in paid work, we should enable it.
Well, it sounds like for you, making sure women are treated equally and fairly and paid and compensated, it's not just a moral thing to do, it just makes good business sense as well.
I think you have to think of it as an economist, not a feminist. This is about allocating the country's resources. It's about growing the country, growing the GDP. In a war for talent, if you don't use all the talent you have, you're crazy. And I think the time has come to start thinking in those terms as opposed to, oh God, there's another female issue. It's not a female issue, it's families. We need families. We need children for the future. We need the brightest people, which also includes women, to be deployed in paid work.
There are men and women who are just working so hard to get food on the table right now. They may be watching the story. They're so busy just trying to get through the day that they can't think about policy and laws and you know what I mean. So are you telling them that right now there are these brilliant minds around the country who are trying to figure out in their behalf how to let them find some kind of a balance or a better balance with work and family?
People are thinking about it, people are working through it. This is not a political issue, this is a human issue. And I'm saying that a lot of people are engaged on it. We now have to move from talk and thought to action and figure out how communities come together, how families come together, how we're going to take care of the aging people. Teachers, nurses, how do we make sure they all come back to work? 2 million women dropped out of the workforce during the pandemic. We need almost all of them back in the workforce because those jobs need them.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
You're so passionate about this. You're almost out of your chair. I feel it. I could feel it when I read this book. Do you feel like that's your purpose, or what is your purpose?
Enabling young family builders to be able to build their families if they so choose to, but at the same time, greasing the skids for women to engage in paid work if they so choose to, and not have to fight all the battles they have been fighting in the past.
Do you think, well, obviously it's getting a little better. You walk into the boardroom now, it looks a little more diverse, doesn't it? Or does it? I don't know.
It does.
I'm not in the room.
It does.
It does.
It's a whole lot different.
Are you encouraged by what you're seeing these days?
Extremely encouraged. So you're beginning to see the changing face of the boardroom. You're seeing better decisions as a consequence. It's not just the changing face. You're seeing better decisions, more innovation. You're seeing more discipline. So I think it's changing a lot of things in corporate America.
What would your message be to women in the next generation who are following in your footsteps and trying to balance work and family and a little bit of time for themselves and maybe a spouse?
I'm going to tell them it's a juggling act. If I try to downplay it, I'll be crazy. But I'm also going to tell them dream big. The economy needs you, needs your brains. And work with us to help you figure out how to balance, how to juggle work and family. How do we create the support structures to help you? Let's work together to figure this out. Because very often we've told young family builders, if you have kids, it's your problem. It's not your problem. It's like when you have a kid, you're doing service to the country. You should get a letter which says, thank you for your service to the country. Think about that. You're producing the next generation of citizens and consumers for the country. So we have to say thank you to you, but thank you is not enough. A letter is not enough. What else are we going to do for you? And all that we're saying is, look, when a child turns 5, the state takes responsibility and says, we're going to help educate the child through the education system, 0 to 5. What can communities, families, to a certain extent the state, I'm not calling this a government program at all, how can we all come together to help the young family?
Let's fast forward 10 years. What changes do you see, or what are you hoping you see in the corporate world?
I think in the business world at large, government, corporate, small business, everything included, we have paid leave for every family, either for maternity, paternity care and or sick leave care. We have a well-tuned system for flexibility or predictability of work hours. You can work remotely, you can come into work, and we won't discriminate against you because you work flexibly. And a beautifully set up childcare system between communities, families, state, whoever works together. The 3 parts of this care trifecta working together.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
It's
doable.
Is it doable?
It's doable.
In 10 years?
In 10 years it's doable if you put our minds to it.
Is that the hope of this book?
That's the hope.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Last question, I talk about how vividly you paint the picture of your childhood in India. Do you think about those days, especially now that you were able to kind of pour your heart out into this book? Do you think of that little girl in India?
I think of the little girl in terms of how far she's come, and sometimes I pinch myself saying, how did it happen? Is it even possible?
What did she look like? If I saw her rushing down the street, little Indra, what did she look like?
She never walked, she only ran. She always smiled. She always smiled. And if she could walk in a straight line, she avoided it and went over a chair and a rock and everything and then went there. I mean, nothing was a hurdle for me. Nothing. If the boys climbed trees, I was going to climb trees. If I fell and broke my hand, tough luck, I broke my hand. Let's get on with it. Hurry up, let's get on. So it was one of these ultimate tomboys who just thought life was for enjoying.
And here she is sitting across from me.
Yo, Today All Day, up next on #cooking, Sama Dada has the cure to your midday munchies. She's going to whip up 4 easy snacks so you'll always be prepared when hunger strikes. First up, Sama making one of Hoda's favorite sweet treats, dates stuffed with almond butter that can be served hot or cold. Then she bakes up a simple, super maple almond granola. And finally, she's making popcorn that's spiced with garam masala. Say bye-bye to butter with a spicy snack.
I'll just say this, okay? If you have a first date with one of these dates, you will be having more. I can't with myself. I cannot go a single day without snacking. Whether I'm at home or on the go, it is simply #always snack time. Honestly, a world without snacking is simply not one I want to live in. So I cannot wait to show you 3 of my favorite weekly snack staples, my delicious stuffed dates, warm and frozen, my nutty maple granola, and my delicious masala popcorn. I love dates, and no, I'm not talking about the romantic kind, I'm talking about the medjool kind. They are my favorite sweet snack to eat throughout the day, and I'm going to show you how to make them 2 ways, warmed and stuffed and frozen and dipped in chocolate. Most dates come with pits, so I've actually already pitted these. I've got about 10 here, so I'm just going to now take them on a little journey to the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds just to get them really nice and warm and juicy. Who needs a first date or a second date when you have 10 dates ready to be stuffed with almond butter? Warming the dates brings out their already naturally golden and caramel flavor, and then when you stuff them with almond butter, the heat actually allows the almond butter to melt so it gets really nice and gooey and delicious. I really already want to eat one right now. Okay, we're gonna start stuffing them. So I've got a creamy almond butter here. You can also use a crunchy almond butter. You can use a peanut butter, a cashew butter. If there are any nut butters that you're harboring in your pantry, this will be a great time to use them. I'm pretty generous here. I would say I use about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons just because I like a lot of almond butter, but you can totally choose however amount works best for your life. Because we've pitted the dates, it actually serves as a really nice pocket for the almond butter to just sit in, a little home, you know? It's like this date was meant for almond butter. You know what I mean? Right? Good form, I think. And I'm just gonna continue with the rest of my dates. So actually, Hoda saw this recipe on my Instagram and has now deemed it to be her favorite snack.
You take a date, and remember I told you the whole thing?
Yes.
You nuke it, you put in some dark chocolate and some almond butter.
yeah.
You know what I like? I like the melted chocolate in the peanut buttery nut butter thing with the salt.
So Hoda, if you're watching this, it's for you. You can kind of see how when I put the almond butter inside this little pocket, it starts to melt a little bit and looks so gooey. Oh. It's like a little river of almond butter that I want to swim in. It's a lucky date. I crack only myself up. So for this recipe and a lot of the other recipes I make using dates, you want to make sure you're buying the medjool kind. I'll just say this, okay? You have a first date with one of these dates. You will be having more. I can't with myself. Someone's got to hold me back for making another date joke because it will happen again. Okay, wait, this guy needs a little more almond butter. I'm so sorry I neglected you for a second. Okay. Okay, I am drowning in almond butter. All of my dates have been stuffed with the almond butter. They look really nice. They look ready to go out on a date. I need to stop. I'm done, I promise. Now that I'm done stuffing all of the dates, I'm just gonna top it with a little bit of sea salt, just to bring out that sweetness and balance everything out really nicely. I sometimes also like to use a salted almond butter too, and that's gonna really create that naturally salty, sweet combination, which we love. All right, and there you have it. My favorite warm stuffed dates, my coffee companion, my favorite date.
Good morning, welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing. So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Good morning, welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
In my opinion, you can never have enough dates, so I'm going to show you how to make another recipe using dates. They're frozen, stuffed with almond butter, and then dipped in chocolate. So we've got our dates already pitted, and now we're going to just go ahead and stuff them straight with almond butter. This should feel pretty familiar. Again, we're going to have the almond butter find a nice little home in this pocket that we've created by pitting the dates. And remember, we are going to be submerging these in chocolate, so we want to make sure that we don't overfill it with almond butter so that it gets a bit messy, even though we love a bit of messy chocolate. So sometimes when I look at my freezer and I'm like, where did all of the ice cream go? I make these instead. They're also super quick to pull together and use mostly what you have in the pantry. And if you're not keeping dates in your pantry now, take this as your sign to start. If you have a nut allergy, you can even use a tahini or a sunflower seed butter as well. And then when you're done freezing them, they seriously taste like a candy bar. I know you think I'm crazy, but they do, I promise. I eat them for dessert. I eat them as a snack during the day. There's so many things you can do with them. They really are the perfect date. Dates are the perfect date. They are. I'm sorry. And now for my chocolate. All I'm gonna do is melt it in the microwave with a little bit of coconut oil. This is gonna help it get nice and smooth and glossy. We're gonna do this in 10 to 15 second increments, and we're gonna keep stirring throughout so it gets really nice and smooth. Put that straight in there. Got my spoon at the ready for stirring, and now I'm gonna head to the microwave. Go back in the microwave. Now it is time to take our dates for a little swim in chocolate. I think they're excited about this, I'm not sure. Here's what we're gonna do. Grab a date, just drop it straight into the chocolate. Don't worry, it likes this. Roll it around so that the entire date is coated. Make sure you get that residual chocolate to kind of drip off the sides of the spoon like this. And now we're just gonna place it back onto our parchment paper. And now we're going to chocolate swim and repeat. This is like a very luxurious bath, I have to say, for the dates. Because we've stuffed these dates with almond butter, we want to make sure we're rolling it in the chocolate a little bit gently, just so that the almond butter doesn't come out. It's okay if you get a little messy here. It's part of the game. It's part of the date. No, that wasn't good. Serve this to your next date. That was better, that was good, that was good. Will I ever stop making date jokes after this? No. Don't expect me to stop. No, it's not gonna happen. It's part of my brand now. One final date. Now, just for good measure, I'm gonna add a little drizzle of chocolate on top. It's gonna make it look really pretty. I don't believe in less is more when it comes to chocolate. I think we always need more chocolate. If you don't like chocolate, I wanna understand you. Please drop me a line. But also, if you don't like chocolate, that's fine. Like, it's totally okay. But I still wanna understand you. Okay. Now I'm just gonna top them with a little flaky sea salt. This is really gonna bring out that sweetness, balance out the chocolate. It is the perfect combination. I'm using a flaky sea salt as well, so it looks really pretty and a little fancy. Okay, we're salted. And now we're ready for the freezer. Can we take a moment? Look at how cute they look. These dates are ready for their date. Gotta stop making date jokes. Okay. These are honestly so good because of the chocolate, because of the almond butter, and that little flaky sea salt. They seriously taste like a candy bar. America's favorite candy bar. You know what I'm talking about. Plating my hot dates with my frozen dates. We're going on a lot of dates today. They honestly look so good. I love them. You know what? I need to take a picture of these to send to Hoda. I know this is her favorite snack. She's gonna love the chocolate ones too. These dates are fully ready for their close-up. It's almost unfair. All right, got the shot. I think it's time for me to taste. And look at that. Mmm. It is so good. The dates are so sweet. The almond butter works so well. That salt, it's making everything come to life. I knew there's a reason why I eat these every day. Now that my dates are done, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Let's keep this between us. Granola is super easy to make at home. I'm gonna get the ingredients so I can show you how.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing. So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Granola is one of my favorite things to make at home. It's super versatile, so you can eat it solo, just munch on it as you're going about your day, or serve it with your favorite yogurt or milk. I'm going to show you how to make my favorite nutty maple granola. For any granola recipe, I like to separate my wet and dry ingredients. We want to make sure that all of the ingredients are thoroughly incorporated, so that's why I'm going to do this. I've got some melted and cooled coconut oil here, and I'm just going to add the rest of my ingredients. I'm using some of my almond butter. And this is going to serve as a really nice mixture for the oats and nuts and seeds and whatever else we're adding to this granola to really cling onto, so we can get those really crunchy clusters. And clusters are why we're all eating granola in the first place anyway, right? Almond butter is in. To sweeten it up, we're going to add some maple syrup. This is the maple portion of my nutty maple granola. Maple adds this really nice golden richness to the granola. It's so good. It's really lightly sweet, so it's not too sweet. I've got all my wet ingredients in my bowl, and now I'm just gonna whisk it until it's nice and smooth. Be careful here. Wear an apron. I don't do it, but you should. We're whisking, and we're whisking. And I just want to whisk this until it's nice and smooth, making sure that all of the ingredients are thoroughly incorporated. Okay, wet ingredients, we're going to set them aside. They're going to hang out for later. And now I'm going to get to work on my dry ingredients. Because I like to maximize the presence of clusters in my granola, it's very important to me, I'm going to crush my nuts before I add them into my oats. So in order to do this, all you have to do, add your nuts into any sort of bag, take a rolling pin or even a bottle, and just get your stress out, like this. You can also roll them if you're more delicate, but I'm really going for it today. I promise I'm a very patient person in general. We want them to be coarsely crushed, but it's okay if we have some bigger or smaller pieces because it's nice to have some texture with our granola. We like the crunch. Okay? I've got my bowl of oats right here. And now I'm just gonna add all of my dry mix-ins in. Adding my pecans in here. My stressed pecans, the result of my stressed pecans. I should also say that if you've got any nuts or seeds that have just been hanging out in your pantry for a little too long, this is a great opportunity to use them up. I'm adding some almonds in now. Just gonna use some cinnamon here. You can also use some nutmeg if you'd like, really whatever you'd like. And then we're gonna add a little pinch of salt. And now I'm just gonna fold in all of my dry ingredients together. Make sure everyone gets to know each other. It's very friendly granola. Now that I've mixed all of my dry ingredients together, I'm just gonna add in my wet ingredients and mix everything together. Okay. Here we go. It's very aesthetically pleasing. This wet mixture is really what's gonna help this granola have clusters, so I like to make sure when I am mixing both the wet and dry ingredients together that everything is really nicely coated. Okay, listen closely. The really important thing when you're making granola is to make sure that everyone has some personal space. So we wanna make sure that all of the oats and nuts in this entire mixture is spread out in a very even layer so everyone has room to breathe. By spreading everything out, we're also gonna make sure it bakes in a very even and crisp layer. And we're just patting everything down really gently, spreading it out nicely. We don't want to pat anything too hard to crush any of the nuts. Now that everything is spread out, I'm just going to go bake in the oven at 325 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes. While our granola is baking, we want to make sure that we're stirring it every 10 to 15 minutes so we can ensure an even and crisp bake. Spread it out evenly again, and then back in the oven we go. The secret to super crispy, crunchy, clustery granola is actually letting it cool completely before you break it apart and serve it. I know it's tempting, but just don't touch it for a little bit, okay? This granola is completely cool, so now I'm just gonna break it apart and add it to my plate. I mean, you just can't. You can't say no to this. This is crazy. Look at how crunchy. The clusters are what I live for. It's the only reason I eat granola. Like, this is the most satisfying thing to me, ever. I will break it apart though. Just a little bit. We want to maintain those clusters though. I'll take granola over a granola bar any day. That's just me. And did you see how easy it was to throw this together? You literally just combine both your wet and dry ingredients and you've got this super delicious, one pan, amazing granola. And look at this bake. It's so even, so golden and crispy. Okay, it's time for me to taste. Waiting to dig into this cluster this entire time. Lightly sweet from the maple syrup, not too sweet, so it's a perfect breakfast companion. Or honestly, you could eat this at any time of the day. You could even top ice cream with this. It's a really nice, crisp, golden layer on top of some vanilla ice cream. Sign me up. You know what? My dad loves this recipe. I make it for him all the time. I'll send him a picture so he can be a little bit jealous of me in it too, so he can remember my face. He knows what I look like. He's gonna be so jealous. So good. Speaking of my dad, this next recipe is inspired by him and something he used to make all the time. So I'm gonna go grab the ingredients and start popping some popcorn.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing. So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
This is a variation of a popcorn recipe that my dad used to make all the time. Poor guy. My mom, my sister, and I would always steal some before he could even have a single kernel, so I guess this is redemption for him. I'm going to show you how to make your popcorn really delicious, really flavorful with this spice-infused olive oil mixture. So I've already popped my popcorn, and now I'm just heating my pan on medium-low heat, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. You can use your favorite spices here, but I'm going to use one of my favorites, which is some garam masala. This is a really common blend of Indian spices, and it's really delicious, really warming, creates a very savory flavor in this popcorn. I'm going to add this straight to my oil, along with some cayenne pepper. This is going to take it up a notch in the spice department because I like things very spicy. Finally, I'm gonna add a little pinch of salt. And now all we're gonna do is just stir our spices. Now the reason that we're heating the spices here in the oil is because nobody likes a raw spice. Raw spices are not cute to eat, so we want to cook the spices with the oil so they become fragrant, they become aromatic, and it just infuses a lot of flavor into your popcorn. I was so obsessed with popcorn in college, I'm pretty sure it's the only reason I made it through. I would just snack on it like all the time. Got me through my exams. Thank you, popcorn. It's done so much for me in my life. And you want to make sure you continue to stir your spices in with the oil so it doesn't burn. We're only doing this for about a minute or so until you smell that delicious aromatic spice smell. You don't want it to smell too raw. When you allow the garam masala to cook in this oil, you can really smell all of those individual spices, the cumin, the cloves, the coriander. It smells so fragrant. So my spices and my oil smells really aromatic. I've cooked it for about a minute. Now it's time to just drizzle it over my popcorn. There we go. I'm just gonna shake it up so everything is fully incorporated in here. Now I'm gonna drizzle it over my popcorn. Smells so good. Now I'm just gonna toss it so that everything is well incorporated. This is just a really great way to make a flavor-infused popcorn so that you're not just going with the plain salt, you're not just going with the plain butter, there's a little something extra going on. Now that my spices are fully incorporated in my popcorn, I'm gonna add a little bit of nutritional yeast. This adds a very cheesy and savory flavor to the popcorn without actually adding any cheese. Mix that in a little bit. And then I'm gonna finish with a little pinch of salt. I have to show my dad that I made this. It's a little bit better than his. Don't tell him. I'm so mean. It smells so good. I seriously wish you could smell it. I cannot wait to dig in. So I'm just not gonna wait. I'm going to dig in. Oh, come on. Okay, this might be dramatic, but I don't think I can eat regular popcorn ever again. It's so good. And again, you can use your favorite spices here. You can even do a little salt and pepper, a little garlic powder. Really make it your own, but just know that I have a feeling you will not go back to regular salted popcorn. Butter? Who is she? It's so good. It's really good. You guys should try this. The next time you get a snack attack, all I have to say is just don't panic. Remain calm. Make these 3 recipes. They're so delicious and the best way to keep your days going. Whew. Hey guys, super busy, cooking up a storm, but I have something exciting to tell you. #cooking is back. So tune into Today all day. Okay, I got some in the oven. I gotta go. See you later.
And this morning on Today Food, the great Padma Lakshmi is here.
That is right. Not only is she the host of Bravo's Emmy-winning Top Chef, currently in its 18th season, Padma's also filming season 2 of her Hulu series, Taste the Nation, a show that explores the cultural roots of food.
Yeah, and with so much on her plate, we're happy that she has a little bit of time to hang with us, and she's got one of her favorite summertime meals. Hey, that's a cool show on Hulu that you're doing, Padma. Just give us a little quick synopsis of it.
Thank you. It's called Taste the Nation, and we're in our 2nd season. It's really looking at the immigrant communities in our country and getting to know the people through the food. So it's more a cultural show with the spy cover of being a food show. We went to 10 cities in the 1st season, and this season we're back on the road.
It looks beautiful and colorful. We know we're big Top Chef fans around here, as you well know. What are you going to make this morning?
We're going to make some scallops. This is a beautiful summer dish that's so easy. So in this bowl right here, I just have some regular breadcrumbs, some flour, some cayenne, a little bit of salt, and some dried mango powder to give it some tartness to balance out the sweetness of the scallops. If you don't have dried mango powder, just leave it out and still make this recipe. You can use lemon pepper or sumac, or just, again, you don't really... it'll still be beautiful. And then you're just taking scallops. I'm using sea scallops today because they're a little bigger. I'm heating some olive oil in a frying pan and just tossing these lightly in that flour and breadcrumb mixture.
They're showing the picture.
Mixture, excuse me.
Padma, how do you know when the... I'll let you put your earpiece in. How do you know when the scallops are done? It seems like that's a protein that you don't want to undercook or overcook. You have to nail it.
It depends on the size, but they usually just take about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. You want them golden. I tend to cook them on one side almost all the way, and then just flip them over to brown the other side for about 90 seconds. Some chefs don't even flip them over, but I like it to be caramelized. You don't want to crowd the pan. So basically, like, the bigger they are, the more time they take, but they shouldn't take any time at all, which is why I love shellfish like scallops or shrimp. They're done in minutes. And who wants to be by a hot stove in the summertime for forever? So all we're going to do is let that fry up, and we're going to make the salad or the little relish that goes on top of it. And in this bowl, you can see that I have peeled, diced cucumber. I like an English or Persian cucumber because they're less seedy and less watery. We have some cherry tomatoes, some chopped fresh dill, a little bit of salt, a tiny pinch of brown sugar. Again, I love the combination of sweet and salty, and some lime juice. And that is all that's in this salad. It's so easy.
Yeah. It looks light and healthy and delicious.
Yeah. It's super light and healthy and delicious. And especially after I come home from a season of Top Chef and I want to lose the weight that I've gained. This is a great dish for that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Padma. Family Game Fight, a new show here on NBC.
That's right, and I got to catch up with one of America's favorite couples to discuss the venture that's pitting these stars against each other in what may or may not be the best thing for a healthy relationship. Well, hey guys, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. The name of this show, Family Game Fight, it sounds a little aggressive.
It's not a good name.
That's what I said.
I'm glad you pointed it out.
There are a lot of flaws in the show.
Yeah, this is but one of many.
It's a battle. We added the word fight. We're still mulling over whether that was the correct
We're
decision.
stuck with it. Yeah, now we painted ourselves into a corner and here we are.
So what's the premise? What constitutes the fight, the battle?
Lots of games.
I'm so sorry. That's a brain freeze.
Let's do this. It's happening, you guys.
There's a game called Pie Rollers where the losing family gets a pie to the face. That's a bad game.
Well, they get multiple pies.
Yeah.
What makes this game show, I think, much different is, it originated from Kristen and I doing a bit on Ellen called
Taste Buds.
Taste Buds, where we're blindfolded and I'm tasting a banana. Oh, they're yellow. They grow on trees. Monkeys eat them. Yellow.
Eucalyptus. Eucalyptus. Is what I said.
Al. No.
I said.
No. And it was just an unmitigated disaster.
We were really fighting.
And it's objectively the funniest thing we've ever been a part of together. And we were like, it's pretty hysterical watching how frustrated we are with each other. What if this was a whole show?
It would seem, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that you're tempting fate as a couple.
You know what? You're dead right. It's very cocky of us to leave a house with a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. We're already going to kill each other. And then we drive 12 minutes to Warner Brothers and then just do it for another 16 hours straight.
Yeah.
So here you are, squished together during this pandemic with your kids, admittedly driving each other nuts. So you get out of the pandemic, and the first thing you do is get into an even smaller space in an RV and start driving. So explain that choice to me.
For some reason, our family, the 4 of us, have learned how to cooperate in a small space better than a large space. You make different choices when you can't escape. You choose wisely, I feel like. We got along great. The girls barely fought.
I think we've had a lot of little compartment. One of them's knocking at the door, even though they know they can't.
You take the question, I'll get the child. Hold on. I said, we're on TV right now. We're on the news. And she said, okay. and this, I'm sure, is about the doll's birthday. We found out yesterday.
A bag with some
her doll's birthday, and now we have to order a cake. She's taking it very seriously. Anyway.
Wow. Dax, you mentioned different sights, different smells. Speaking of that, I understand there's an issue about bathroom hygiene.
What was the intention? Was it to be in the toilet bowl or in the trash can? Kristen thinks she's playing horseshoes with the trash can. If it is within 9 inches of the trash can, for her, that's a point.
She gets points.
There's Q-tips laying on the ground. There's a price to pay to live with America's sweethearts.
And before we go, I circle back to Family Game Fight. What was it like? I mean, did you enjoy working together?
More than ever on this one. In life, every day there's 9 options for us to disagree. We don't have a common goal. We don't want to eat at the same place. We aren't on the mood to watch the same TV show. We don't have the same opinion on what we should do with the kids as parents. It's just a nonstop waterfall of compromise. when we work together, it's this rare bubble where we have the exact same goal. Like, we want the show to be great. And it's rare, I think, for partners in a marriage to be the benefactor of their partner's genius.
If your partner is an accountant, you don't get to go to work and see them do a spreadsheet or add numbers. Yes, smash a spreadsheet.
Some people go away to like nice hotels for a week to rekindle, and we go shoot for 90 hours and we come out thinking like, yeah, I picked the right one.
I got to tell you, I love talking with these guys. They are just bonkers, but you can see how close they are.
I didn't get the toilet thing. I don't understand.
Miss the mark.
Well, she just doesn't quite.
I guess if you're rushing.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprise.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world. Love it!
Our next guest began his Hollywood journey when he was still in his teens. Garrett Hedlund played Don Billingsley in the 2004 sports drama Friday Night Lights and went on to star alongside Mark Wahlberg and Andre 3000 in Four Brothers.
Well, now Garrett's returning to our TV screens in the second season of the hit show Modern Love.
It's based on the New York Times column of the same name. This season proves even after heartbreak, you never know when love will come knocking again.
Excuse me. Are you the wife of the guy my wife is having an affair with?
We're not together anymore. I'm Isabel.
Spence. Thanks for the heads up at the barbecue.
I'm not sure you should be thanking me, but you're welcome.
And there's the setup. Garrett, good morning.
Just when we thought your hair couldn't get any better.
I know.
See you now.
Can I please give you the vocabulary word that I just learned? Al, what's the vocabulary word?
I said his hair is luxuriant.
Ah, yes.
That's very good because I don't want to have too much of a spoiler, but that may have been a piece.
Well, let's dig in. So you star in an episode alongside Anna Paquin, and the way your characters meet, obviously kind of unique, to say the least. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a wonderful episode. It's the two main characters, me and Anna, meet, really in depth in the waiting room of therapy session. So it's, maybe that's happened to someone out there. We'll see.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I was reading our notes this morning, and you say that this show actually brought you and your girlfriend Emma Roberts closer together. How was that?
Well, it was the pandemic, and we weren't exactly holding hands watching Dateline. So, it was just wonderful. When they asked me to be a part of this, we sat down and binge watched it, and it was so wonderful. It's beautiful. It pulls at the heartstrings. John Carney, who created it, directed once. So obviously there's you can see where all of these episodes would go, and it just dealt with a lot of beautiful situations of people finding and losing love in and around New York.
Talking about beautiful situation, you and Emma were welcoming a baby boy into the world in December. Look, for everybody, it's different. But how has young Rhodes changed your life?
Man, I snap awake every morning to see his first smile. And every morning he smiles so big when he sees me. And it's really, I think it really dives into acknowledging sort of the power of appreciation. It's changed, how I look forward to every day. It's changed how I look forward to work, my job, and every situation, instead of, especially some days at work when it gets longer, it has been long consistently, and you say, man, I'm sorry, guys, I can't meet up. I have to do this, and I have to work with this great director, and I got to do this big monologue, and I have to. And he really makes me think of, I get to do this, and it's really changed my life, for every better way.
Can I just tell you how special that is? And I hope that we save this tape and we play this for him when he gets a little older, because to hear his father say that will just be so special. So there's a pretty interesting story about how you landed on his name. His name is Rhodes. Tell us about that.
It was, Emma had said, she'd said, if it's a girl, I get to name her. And if it's a boy, you get to name him. But she was 9,000% sure that it was going to be a girl.
Awesome.
So of course, she lended me that, privilege. I don't know. I wanted it to be some slightly metaphorical. I love traveling. I love road trips. I thought there was some wonderful within the journey and anticipation and always holding on to your wonderment about something. And my father, before he passed away, we got to have we had a 3-week road trip, and so it was roads, and my grandfather and I used to go on rowing trips, so row for short, and then Emma and I are avid readers, so road scholar, but really he's just turned into a rodeo. So
wow. Garrett, you just dropped the mic on all of that. That was so good. Thank you so much. Rhodes is like a lucky boy. All right. Well, again, Modern Love Season 2 is available tomorrow on Amazon Prime Video.
And he also has arresting eyes. Look at those eyes.
I mean, they're just dreamy. Like, seriously.
Come on.
Seriously.
You little charmer.
Okay, we won't embarrass you.
Thank you. Thanks,
I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like, really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like, really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts. Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Big news, one of your favorites and ours. Terry Crews is on TV in season 8 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the final season, which premieres tonight on NBC.
Such a good show. Of course, Terry also keeping busy as the host of America's Got Talent, which is in season 16 right now. He's also an author, and Terry recently celebrated his 53rd birthday by getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. What did you do on your birthday?
Yeah, I know, not that. Happy birthday, Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Thank you, Jenna, Willie. It's good to see you guys.
Well, talk about this day. You got a star and you turned 53 all in one day. Was it awesome?
It was a dream come true. You gotta know, when we first moved to LA in 1997, my wife and I used to walk Hollywood Boulevard and just dream about what would happen, what's gonna happen to us, and little did I know that I would be among the greats that are on that sidewalk. It's really nuts.
And it's there forever. That's the beauty. Your family can visit it. Generations can go see it. So part of the reason you got that star is because of how great you are on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Final season begins tonight on NBC. How much fun has that show been for you?
Oh, man. First of all, you're talking about 8 years, 153 episodes. It was so much emotion because I've never played a character longer than Terry Jeffords.
Yeah. Right.
And also, it's also a dinosaur because you don't have sitcoms that get that many episodes anymore.
Right.
I mean, to go 8 years is so rare at this moment. And it's very emotional for us right now. Tonight, I'm just going to be watching with the rest of the world, and I just feel all these goosebumps because I don't want it to end. I'm in denial because I don't really want it.
Well, that leads us perfectly. We're going to play a little game with you. We're dying to play this game, but before we do, any chance there's going to be a movie? There's rumors.
Come on now.
Listen, Peacock is there. There's a brand new system. There's new ways to entertain everybody. I'm open to it. I think it'd be great, and we'd get to cuss too, which is really good.
I think you and Sandberg need to cook that up together.
Let's get going. Let's get going. Okay, so now we want to play this game. It's called Terry Crews or False. You're going to read a fun fact, and we're going to try to guess if it's Crews or false. Ready?
Okay.
All right, here I go. Here's the first one. All right, fact. I was once a courtroom sketch artist.
That's
true or
false?
False.
That is true.
No.
I was a courtroom sketch artist way back in the day when I was in college.
Was
I
Stallone
came
in
back
court for something?
And that was my job. It was my first real job in entertainment.
We're looking at your sketch of Sylvester Stallone. We should say, for legal reasons, he was not in a courtroom. He's been neither charged nor convicted of any crime.
Okay. Next fact.
All right, I'll give you the next question. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Fact. I hate donuts.
Okay, well, listen, we earlier did something where we really regret it. We ate this hot dog, apple pie, and now I sort of hate donuts, so I'm going to say true.
I think it's false. Nobody hates a donut.
Willie is right. Listen, nobody hates donuts. Donuts are my meal, man. I gotta have an apple fritter. I gotta have a good old-fashioned glazed donut.
Got to.
Occasionally, it helps.
And if you don't like
out.
a donut, you gotta like a hole, right? Okay, next fact. Next
donut
fact.
holes. I eat it all. I'll tell you that.
Okay, next fact.
Next fact. Here we go. Fact. I was in a Katy Perry music video.
True.
Do you know the video?
What's your guess?
Okay, I'm gonna say true because you said it so decisively.
Yes, it's true. It's true. I was in a Katy Perry. I've done a lot of music videos. That's one of the things that I love to do, along with commercials and all the other stuff. And my head exploded in this video too. It was actually
literally.
Kind of like in real life.
That is so awesome, Terry. We love you around here. Thanks so much.
It has been a long year. Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
If there ever was a list of people we'd love to have as our first studio guest back in the studio, you better believe numero uno would be the lady we have today, Tina Fey.
Yes, we made the list. She's on it. She's a 9-time Emmy winner. And while some of us were catching up on old shows over quarantine, Tina was working on new ones, including the hilarious Hoda's very favorite show of all time, Girls 5 Eva. It's about a one-hit wonder girl group from the 90s who reunite for a second chance at fame.
And we are so happy to have Tina here today. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Tina Fey.
Yes! We did it!
Yes! We did it! We did it!
Hi, Tina. Hi. Tina, we're sorry we don't have a bus, but our budget is a little...
We're at the 4th hour.
Yeah.
We're going to get you a cab. But we want to congratulate you first and foremost. We've got a second season, because I'm part of
By
it.
the way,
100%.
She actually is a producer. I don't know if you know that.
I feel like, yes. We have season 2 was announced yesterday. Girls 5 Eva will be doing a season 2, which is fantastic news, mostly for Hoda, but for us as well.
No, Hoda sent me the first 5 episodes, and she is your #1 fan.
I was literally begging Jenna to watch. I said...
she didn't have to beg me too
I
hard.
didn't, yeah.
But the best part is that she also says, you'll relate with this part. For example, when Paula Pell sweats a lot.
Sweats through her clothes.
And throws water. But the writing is so funny, and it is relatable, even though it's about something that most of us will not experience, which is being in a wonder group.
Yeah, even though it's about women who are in a band, it's super relatable. Meredith Scardino is the writer-creator, and she is one of the funniest humans ever. And yeah, it's really about kind of like, you know who you were when you were 20, but who are you now when you're about 40, and what friendships do you bring with you, and you know, and I think also in terms of pop music and culture, we're all looking back now at the 90s being like, oh, some of the stuff we thought was normal was not normal.
Yes.
That's very true.
Well, it's funny, the writing's funny, the singing is funny, but it has a real soul to it. I like that part of the show. And it's kind of cool to watch these girls find their voice in their 40s and 50s. I was just curious, like, when did you feel like, you know what, actually, I'm saying what I think now. Now I'm stepping up for myself.
That's a great question. I think, you know, somewhere after 40, where you just feel a calm about, like, no, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. I think that was a good turning point for me, personally.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. You have 2 girls, and one of them is in this show. Stars as Busy Phillips' daughters. What's it like to watch them come into their own? Because, you know, so many times as moms, we like want to hold their hands. Were you a stage mommy?
The only stage mom thing I did that I was like, wow, this is not great, was our daughter Penelope was on set, and she was doing a great job. And then, like, you know, it takes a long time to shoot things, and it was getting to be when you kind of try to finish stuff before you break for lunch. There she is. And I had a moment where I thought she was getting a little tired, and I was like, give her a Snickers. Which is like the worst kind of stage mom thing to be like, give them a Red Bull. But I didn't give her a Red Bull. You know, Snickers.
By the way, I have to say, these women sing so beautifully, and I'm convinced that one of their songs is going to wind up on the charts because
it's going to tuck it into existence.
I was a Brady Bunch fan. I think I'll go for a walk outside now. The summer sun's calling my name. I mean, if it is possible there, I think it can be possible. You guys do have an album out, essentially, right?
Yeah, we have this album out. What happened was that, you know, there are, I think, something like 31 songs or tiny pieces of songs in the first season, and some of them you just hear a tiny snippet. But then we realized, because it was Peacock, that we could have end credits sequence, that Jeff Richmond, our composer and Meredith were like, oh, we should finish the songs. And so it was so funny to hear, we'd hear like a little bit of Dawn's I'm Afraid song about all her anxieties. And then Meredith would send the rest. She would write the rest of the lyrics, and they would literally be handing them to Sarah in the booth, being like, sing this now. And people were just crying, laughing in the booth at these new jokes and also at her beautiful voice.
People should listen to I'm Afraid, but do it when your kids aren't in the room, but it is so hilarious.
Did you have a favorite 90s girl band or girl group that kind of inspired this?
I mean, I think Spice Girls, for sure, were the ultimate, and like Salt and Pepper, but I don't know if I think of them as not quite the same kind of man-made girl group.
Yeah.
All right, we do have a couple of rapid-fire questions. Can we quickly do them?
Let's
All
do
right.
it. Okay.
Do you have them?
We're calling this Tina
Phase In.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
We may need you to help with the writing.
Yes.
Okay.
Will you still call it that when other people do it?
Yes. Okay. Is it okay to eat, and this I'm asking for a friend, potato chips first thing in the morning because they match her dress?
100%.
Thank you very much. Okay, do you think women say I'm sorry too much?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I don't.
You don't?
I think Amy Poehler, I say it more than Amy Poehler, but I think I do pretty well.
Did you come to a moment where you said, no more, I'm sorry?
Yes, you hear yourself and you try to
stop yourself.
Stop yourself.
Doing that. Okay. Do you think that kids should be on social media?
I think, not little kids.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's part of our, I think, private social media. I would be like private until you're 18, private, please. But I do think social media is part of the universe and it's inescapable.
I think we have one last one only, and this is
for the $10,000 prize.
Here we go. Is Jenna crazy to go skydiving on Friday?
I'll tell you what.
On Thursday.
Normally I would say yes, but I know that you're doing it because your grandpa used to do it. And so I would say you're not crazy. I think it's going to be a really epic experience for you.
Okay, I'm going to call my mom right now. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day.
All day.
This is a long way of asking who's your favorite character you've ever played?
A unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day. Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts.
Cold cut, cold cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called.
This job is awesome. Like, I don't think I can do anything else. This is my pay it forward. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I do best. You don't know how much work it really does take for this little baby to come home to you. It's a lot. You know Nicu exists. It's that place behind those doors that you can't go through. But I just didn't think, I would ever end up there. The normal pregnancy is 40 weeks. So the girls came about 16 weeks early. The first couple of days I felt nothing because there's no way a 24-weeker can survive. I knew the chances were slim to zero to none. Morgan was in the NICU for 93 days, and Madison was in the NICU for 97 days. My story is like the lady that won the $300 million lottery by herself. I think my story is like that because a lot of time it doesn't work out as great as it worked out for me. If you believe in a higher being, I always think this is why God brought my girls to me this way, because I had to be here. I know you're hungry, right? Did you eat early? Okay, I'm gonna get your breakfast ready. I always say I have the greatest job in the world. You're basically your baby's advocate. You're your baby's voice.
And Cindy, he is yours?
Yes.
Any other problems?
No,
Okay.
everything's fine.
Great. So that's pretty much what we're planning for him to do today.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. have to know your baby. Sometimes you give them a little belly massage. Sometimes you just hold their hands. Sometimes you just swaddle them. Sometimes they just want to be held. Some babies just want to be held. You want to have time? Okay, sweetie. Yes. I know. I know how that mom feels. You go through anger, you go through acceptance, you go through denial, you go through all the emotional roller coasters, you know? Why me? Why am I stuck in this place? You know, this is never anybody's plan. It's very intimidating for someone to see their baby with all these wires and this machine beeping, and I put myself in their shoe, and I try to explain as best as I can. Okay, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. I realize how lucky I am, because every day when I go home and I'm like, oh my God, and whoever gives me an attitude, and I'm thinking I'm so blessed to have this attitude coming from this little girl, you know, because I'm so lucky. Hi, Mommy. Congratulations. I heard Michael's going home today.
Yeah, finally.
You ready?
I'm more than ready. I'm so excited.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Yeah, that's normal. I love to see them go. I really do, because I know how rewarding it is to be a parent, how hard it is to be a parent, but it is the best thing in the world. And, you know, you had a hand in doing this and giving this parent this beautiful baby. When they get to go home, it makes you feel awesome. It makes you feel like you have a superpower. Like not everyone can do this. Come back and visit, okay?
We will. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
To find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. 19 tiny newborns will one day have quite a story to tell.
They will indeed. It'll be about how they survived Hurricane Laura, thanks to a team of heroic nurses who stayed behind to care for them while the fierce storm raged outside. We're going to speak with some of those nurses in just a moment. But first, NBC's Morgan Chesky has the story.
1 week ago, it was a desperate race against time. Hurricane Laura on track to become a dangerous Category 4, with forecasters predicting an unsurvivable storm surge. Tabitha Fawcett was in the Lake Charles Women's Hospital, recovering from a difficult C-section. Her 2-day-old daughter, Whitley, tethered to a ventilator.
The nurses just came in and were like, hey, we just got an update. Due to the anticipated storm surge and the weather, we have to get y'all out of here.
In an hours-long operation, the neonatal intensive care unit team transferred the fragile newborns to a hospital on higher ground, along with the crucial equipment to keep them alive.
Transferring 19 babies, critical infants, even just across town is a big ordeal.
That night, as Laura's fierce winds howled outside, a team of nurses, respiratory therapists, and a doctor huddled inside and watched over the tiny infants.
The whole building is moving.
You can feel it.
You can feel the building shaking. You can see stuff flying out there.
And in the middle of the terrifying ordeal,
You're in the room and the windows are rattling and the building is shaking. It was a little bit disturbing, frightening.
updating worried parents on Facebook all night long.
That reassurance right there, that really helped me get through the night for sure.
Everyone surviving unhurt.
Besides being afraid and distressed, we didn't go without anything, and the babies didn't even realize there was a storm going on.
Tell mommy hi.
The parents eternally grateful.
Without them, we wouldn't have kept our sanity. It was rough, but because of them, we were able to really pull through.
To those who helped their precious newborns weather the first storm of their young lives. For Today, Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
Oh, we've been waiting for you guys. Joining us now, the staff from that NICU at Lake Charles Memorial Hospital for Women. We've got Leah Upton, the NICU director. Chrissy is a nurse practitioner with the unit. Welcome, guys. We're so happy to see you. I want you, Leah, just to give us a little bit of a play-by-play, if you wouldn't mind. That when you were trying to move those tiny babies, some weighing a couple of pounds or less, that 300 pounds of equipment for each child across town, that must have been very taxing in and of itself.
Yes, it was pretty exhausting for our staff, but I tell you, we couldn't have done it without all the help from the women's campus and pediatrics, from getting everything settled here and helping us move it up there.
Chrissy, first of all, bless you and bless every last one of you there. What an incredible job you did. You really are saints. But what was it like inside that hospital? You get to Lake Charles Memorial, the hurricane moves in, you're there with all these babies, these tiny babies who don't even have their own moms there with them. What was it like to be inside as that storm came through?
Sure, it was pretty terrifying, just the wind and the water coming through, but our focus was these babies. We wanted to make sure all of them were taken care of, just like we would take care of them at the main campus, whether there was a storm or not. So that was our main focus, so it kind of went fast from there because we had so many babies to take care of.
Chrissy, you guys kept your spirits up that night. You had to somehow keep all that fear at bay, and as I understand it, some music played a small part. Tell me about that.
Yes, one of our nurses, Allison, had a playlist full of just like praise and worship music, and we just blared that. We were all singing. It was kind of trickling down the hallways, and it just kept some calm and peace for us during this time.
And I know what's difficult in a situation like this. I know a lot of you guys are moms. You have kids of your own, and you're probably concerned about, wow, what are they doing at home? Leo, tell us a little bit about what that part of the story was like.
Well, no one wants to be separated from their family during a time like this, but my 4 children evacuated with my husband, so I knew that they were in safe hands. I just couldn't imagine what these children, the mothers of these babies, felt during this time because their babies were here. They had to put a lot of trust in us to take care of them.
Chrissy, how did the babies themselves do? You have these 19 precious newborns. How did they do through the storm?
They did very well, probably better than us. They slept through the whole thing. We maintained, their equipment, the respiratory stuff they needed, and they did fine. They slept through the whole thing.
How long did this whole thing take, guys, from when you started the transfer process through the night, things calmed down, you get the 19 babies back to other hospitals with running water, when you finally got home? How long was your day at work?
About 48 hours for me. Some a little bit shorter because we let some of them go home once some of the babies were gone, but 48 hours for some.
Well, thank you guys. That is an
You guys are incredible. I mean, the stories, you guys put mattresses up to protect so that the windows wouldn't shatter on the children. You all did it all. You went above and beyond like we knew you would. So thank you guys so much. We want to thank you, Leah and Chrissy. And will you give a hug to that whole NICU department behind you, because they're all incredible people. Thank you guys so much.
Great job, guys. Thank you.
Nice work, everybody.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright.
Are you ready?
We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day. Let's change the world. Love it!
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Which is harder, respiratory therapist or father of 3 under the age of 1?
Option B, sir. Option B.
You got quite the busy house, I would imagine. How are things right now?
Wonderful. Everybody's doing great. And like you said, it's pretty busy.
Busy is an understatement. Adez Suleiman, a respiratory therapist at Chicago's Northwestern Memorial Hospital, found out his wife was pregnant at the end of 2019. The couple was overjoyed because they've been trying to start a family for the last 5 years. Take me back. What was that like?
We had a pregnancy that we'd been fighting for forever. So we had anticipated a June baby, but then we found out some complications early periods of January that, we had some severe complications that might jeopardize this pregnancy. So my wife, Jennifer, was admitted in the hospital for observation. Somehow, some way, Jaden showed up, said, "Hey, I'm here." A little too early, a lot too early.
The couple's joy was soon tempered by the fear surrounding the premature birth of their son, Jaden, born at just 23 weeks last February, just weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic began. You've got a brand new baby who has a number of health complications.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're on the front lines of fighting this virus that we knew very little about at that point.
Right.
How were you just managing the stress of it all?
Work and the family were very, very separated at that time. What I'm dealing with outside of the hospital shouldn't really affect how I'm caring for a patient at the hospital. But yes, it was not going to be easy.
Adez visited his son in the NICU after his own long shifts at the hospital, spent working with patients on life support and putting himself at a very high risk for contracting the virus.
Was I afraid and worried about taking the virus over there? Absolutely. But I still try my best to put every precaution in place, a shower, a change of clothing, and even when I get to the NICU side of things, extra gear just to have some protection to be around him.
So we have a newborn with some health complications.
Yes.
We have the start of a pandemic. And then we find out we're pregnant again.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, it's twins.
Yes. So that did happen.
The twins, Janelle and Jordan, were born December 16th, 2020, just a few months after their firstborn, Jaden, was released from his extended time in the NICU.
I was elated. This was ecstasy. And this was another set of kids that I have to do everything in my power to just protect, to just cherish.
Which is harder, respiratory therapist or father of 3 under the age of 1?
Option B, sir. Option B. I mean, I've been around here enough to where I can manage myself. But if 2 kids are screaming, I'm confused oftentimes. I'm trying to figure out food, diaper, what is going on? Do you have a stomach ache? You're not talking, you're just screaming. Help me out, child.
The fact that all of this was going on as the pandemic raged, did that make it maybe even sweeter?
For me, yes. Having people not being able to come see their family members in their absolute most critical moments was pretty challenging, and watching people die with no one here for them. So finding out, there's some exciting thing going on, it puts a smile on my face after every shift. Once I leave here, let me go find out about what's going on this end of the spectrum where everything looks, a little challenging, but great. This is another rainbow situation for me.
So this shows if they have stuff back yet. So
when the pandemic hit last spring, Dr. Michael Torre was just 6 months into his career in emergency medicine, working alongside his father, Dr. Paul Torre, at Houston's Memorial Hermann Hospital.
He always kind of seemed interested in, pursuing a career in medicine. I never pushed him. I never pushed any of my kids.
So growing up, he would kind of talk medicine here or there, just high school, college, he would say things, how he did this, did that, and we always thought it was cool. When I started doing emergency medicine, then we could really talk very specific about what's going on, what we're doing, and really, connect about it.
But the sweetness of reaching that career goal turned sour as the pandemic surged in the Houston area last summer, filling emergency rooms.
Pandemic came 6 months into his career. There was a lot of fear. Am I going to get this stuff and then wind up in a box, or is it going to happen to my family?
Pretty much almost after every shift, we'll call each other and be like, I did this today.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, I saw this today. What about you? And I think that helps without really explicitly saying, I need help.
The father-son team was put to the test on one of their first shifts working together.
There's certain things we do to resuscitate critical people. And we got to work on someone and help them out and, do the critical care procedures that we've been trained to do together at the same time.
He needed something, I just was handing it to him before he asked for it, and vice versa. I needed help doing something, and he was just ready right there.
Medicine in general is teamwork, and when you're in one place for a while, you know how your team works, and this is our first time working together. And it was teamwork, like we've been doing it for years.
But we have.
Dr. Justin Reed, a resident physician at St. Joseph's Medical Center in Mishawaka, Indiana, and a father of 5, had a busy life before the pandemic hit, but it was nothing compared to what his family has endured this past year.
I get home, everything was going directly into the washing machine, and then I was going to shower. My kids are waiting for me when I come home, excited to see me, want to jump on me, tell me about their day, but we weren't allowing it.
Acknowledging the psychological strain of the pandemic on his team, Justin's supervisor asked him to write a short essay about how he was coping. At a loss for words, Justin decided to make a drawing instead.
It's me outside of a glass window, kneeling down, reaching out my hand to my son. And then in the background, I've got flaming arrows sticking out of me. It just kind of captured the way I was feeling at the time. And I think the way a lot of us were feeling.
Tragedy struck the family in December when Justin's father-in-law and grandfather both contracted COVID-19. His father-in-law suffered a COVID-induced stroke from which he is still recovering, and his grandfather fell victim to the disease. The pair said goodbye to each other via iPads from separate hospital beds.
Grandpa couldn't speak because he was on oxygen mask, and father-in-law couldn't speak because of the stroke, and so they just cried. And it was a pretty harrowing, touching experience.
Explaining it all to his 5 kids has been the hardest part of it all.
There's been hard moments, but overall they just were willing to go with it, and they wore their masks. And even my 5-year-old, when we go out and see somebody not wearing a mask or not wearing it properly, we'll point it out and say, doesn't that guy know he could catch COVID?
With vaccines rolling out across the country and hospitalization rates declining, Justin is planning on making a new drawing to express the hope he's feeling now.
But this time, walking through that door and picking up and holding my son with my mask in my hand instead of on my face, and with a sticker that says I got vaccinated. That's the feeling that I have now, and grateful to be on this side of it.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us?
Yes. There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
having sex. Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for? Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
17 years now, I've been putting this suit on this time of year, and it always reminds me of the first time I saw Kyle as a 2.5-pound baby in the NICU. So it's always a positive reminder of how the outcome was a great accomplishment, and it happened to be around Christmas.
Becoming a parent is one of the greatest gifts life has to offer. But sometimes parenthood starts sooner than expected, and the neonatal intensive care unit is a baby's first home.
Here he is. You can kiss him too, Daddy? When you have a baby, it's the best day of your life. But the babies that come here, that best day of their life, it's also intertwined with one of the scariest and can even be the worst day of their life. So we see elation and joy and happiness, but we also see just people being terrified of how sick their babies are and what the outcomes will be in the long run.
21 years ago, this father experienced these emotions firsthand.
All right, looks good. When you find out you're expecting a baby, you're obviously very happy.
But joy turned to panic when baby Kyle was born 3 months early. He came into the world weighing 2 pounds, 9 ounces. He spent 98 days in the NICU at Ascension St. Joseph Hospital in Milwaukee.
It was a shock and an absolute chaotic event throughout the entire ordeal. I was overcome with anxiety and the fear of the unknown. What's going to happen to my baby?
But in the midst of pain, one act of kindness made all the difference for Greg and his family.
A few days before Christmas that year, a man came in dressed as Santa Claus and took pictures with all the babies. So for a few minutes, it helped to bring some hope and some joy and brought a smile to our face that we have a picture of Kyle with Santa Claus on his first Christmas.
Kyle graduated from the NICU, but that moment was never forgotten. When that Santa retired, Greg took over and has been bringing joy to the same NICU for 17 years.
So what's the little one's name?
William.
William. Merry Christmas, William. So even though I'm dressed as Santa Claus and I'm there to spread holiday cheer, I can legitimately tell parents that I was right where they were on or about this day.
But Greg doesn't spread joy alone. Kyle joins his dad every year for the family tradition.
We'll pack around 20 to 30 stuffed animals. All of them have my story attached to them from when I was in the NICU. For the parents, I like to think that I am an example of health and hope that they can see their child who's in the NICU grow up to be.
The two have never missed a year, even when the family moved from Wisconsin to Oregon.
We lived 2,000 miles away and 2 time zones away. We never forgot the importance of the Santa Claus visit to the NICU. We don't know these parents, but we've walked in their shoes and we know exactly what they're experiencing. And despite the volatility of that environment, we hope they have a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Who I found in the hallway. Santa. Things like today are awesome because it just makes you kind of feel more at home, and that is, I think, the hardest part of being in the NICU is that you're not at home, and have him meet Santa for the first time really kind of just normalizes the experience for us and makes us feel more connected as parents instead of just we had a baby and now he's in the hospital for a long period of time. Look at keys. You love your keys. Hey, baby.
Last Christmas, Ron and Amanda Siri were in the NICU for 119 days with their daughter, Lillian.
I think the biggest part was just fear of the unknown. You want to make everything right and make her feel comfortable and know that everything's going to be okay, but nothing's guaranteed.
Santa and Kyle brought them some much needed joy.
Thinking that your child's not going to be home with you on Christmas was a really hard thing to deal with, and having Santa come in and get those pictures with him for Lillian's first Christmas was really special. I want Greg to know how much it means to the parents for what he does, because it did give us a lot of hope.
Most of us with new kiddos take them to see Santa. It's a passage of childhood, and it's something you keep forever in memory books and baby books, and it's things you want to share on social media. And so Greg gives that back to our families so they can feel normal with their new baby.
This experience has been great for not only me, but for Kyle and for our family.
When I see him go into the NICU dressed as Santa Claus, as silly as it may look, being able to take photos and talk to these parents who are in this exact situation, it shows a lot of what my dad really does, how he can just relate with the struggles that these parents are going through. It makes me very proud.
Ho, ho, ho.
Butchery is seen as this really large-scale brute force thing, and it takes a lot of physical strength, but a lot of it is also really intricate and small, kind of meditative moments. Sausage making being one of those things.
The color is still really nice.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. I'm Cara Nicoletti. I'm a 4th generation butcher and co-founder of Seymour Meats and Veggies. I want butchers in the future to not be scared of people eating less meat. I just think that we need to get a little bit more creative about our job. Everyone, the food is ready. The mission really is to make it easier and more fun for people to eat well. It turns out that adding vegetables, making that meat stretch farther, democratizes good meat, if you will, makes it more available to more people.
They're just so good.
My family's history in butchery started with my great-grandfather. He was a cattle merchant in Russia. That was where my great-grandpa started working in the meat industry. And then he opened a shop in the north end of Boston in the 1940s with some of his family. When my grandpa was 13, him and his brother, Bobby, started working in the shop and eventually took it over. Is that you?
That's me.
Yeah.
That's Bob.
I'm Seymour Celeste, and I'm a retired butcher. Both of us went to work helping my dad in the meat market. My brother and I were partners until the day he passed away a couple of years ago. This was the store.
Wow.
65 Salem Street. I had 3 daughters, I never thought that my girls would be interested, and they weren't. My daughters used to bring the children into my office for me to take care of them while they went out and did things. And Cara always wanted to go into the smelly room.
I was, out of my sisters and my cousins, probably the most curious about what they were doing in the shop. Growing up, I always wanted to sort of like peek behind the curtain and see. I graduated in 2008. The economy collapsed. I was working at a restaurant as a baker, and one of the owners, who also had a grandfather who was a butcher, was like, if you ever want to do some like light butchery work, breaking down chickens and pork shoulders and stuff, let me know. So I started doing that, and it sort of like sparked an interest in me. So I started apprenticing for free. I did that for about a year and then left to go butcher full time. I remember calling my papa, Seymour, when I got my first apprenticeship. I could tell that he was hoping like it was something that didn't stick.
Well, I said, this is the funniest story, the funniest joke. You're joking with me and everything else. And she said, no.
I really have my entire working life worked with my hands, and I enjoy that much more.
I trusted her and believed in her. As a matter of fact, I gave her some of my tools.
This is Papa's, Seymour's honing steel that he gave me. As soon as I started butchering full time, I gravitated toward sausage making immediately, and I realized pretty early on that I had hit on an idea. As much as I believe in regenerative agriculture and all of that, there's just no way to sustainably eat meat every single night of the week. So I started sneaking a lot of vegetables into my sausages. I had set out to make 40 pounds of sausages, and after I'd mixed it all together, I weighed out the mix, and it was like 70-something pounds. I had essentially doubled my meat by adding vegetables to it. When I was working at Foster's and just couldn't physically keep up with the demand was when I realized that it definitely was a scalable idea. It's been the last 2 years of working nonstop trying to get this to market. I went to close to 100 co-packers asking them if they would help me, and every single one of them said no, because what we're doing is more complicated. We finally found one co-packer outside of Kansas City, Missouri, the Phantasmas, and flew out to go see them, and they were like, sure, we'll try it.
Hey!
Hi!
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hi! I really owe everything to them because they saw something in me, and they saw something in my idea that they thought was worth taking a risk on. I was making Lou and Mario peel beets and dice them in the thing that makes bologna.
I believe it was the challenge. We never done sausage with vegetables and meat combined at the amounts that she was looking for.
We immediately saw the drive that she had, the passion she had about the sausages she made.
We've always wanted to work with a sausage queen.
Oh my gosh!
Vivi, do you want to help me prep some vegetables? We went back and forth about the name for a long time. We had a few different iterations that just didn't stick, and I always wanted it to be Seymour.
These are cooking up fantastic, huh? God, look at those. They're just cooking up.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. I love her, and I said to her, no, don't call it Seymour Meats and Vegetables. I wanted her to call it something like Cara's Kitchen, because it really, it's her. And of course, I am humbled by what she did, and I'm very emotional about that.
We are all obsessed with Seymour. We love him and use him as a model of positivity and gratitude.
That's delicious.
So this is about honoring my whole family.
The truth of the matter is, Cara revolutionized the sausage business.
Make no mistake, this was not an easy process, and I almost quit many, many, many times.
Cara went to Whole Foods and they bought her product immediately. I mean, I can lie awake at night thinking how remarkable it is that she was able to achieve that, and I'm very proud of her.
Butchering is a really, really difficult job with very little financial payoff, but I would not do anything differently. Women make really good butchers and really good cooks, really good chefs. I think the more of us that are in this industry, the better.
I understand what it takes to accomplish what she's accomplished. And let me tell you, it is no easy feat. And it didn't happen overnight for Cara. And it's just a beginning as far as I'm concerned.
I love you so much.
Good morning, welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes, this is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Every business is closing down. I have to do whatever I can do to celebrate and showcase my heritage, my proud ancient Black Jewish culture, and eventually touch different people through my food. My name is BJ Barhani, the owner of Sion Cafe, Ethiopian Mediterranean restaurant in Harlem, New York. The cuisine we serve at Sion Cafe is a homage to my diverse identity and culture that I was brought up in. It's celebrating my Jewish, my Ethiopian, and the New Yorker aspect of me. As an immigrant, it's very important to empower people within the community and really to help them pave the way and make it here in New York. I have great respect for new immigrants that just want to go and contribute to the community where they live. We opened Sion Cafe in 2014. It's an establishment where you can nourish your body and soul. It's a place for healthy eating, a community gathering, and making a connection with different people. It's a place where you can come and listen to great music. This used to be the famous Jimmy's Chicken Shack, where in the high day of the Harlem Renaissance, musicians such as Art Tatum, Hazel Scott, or Billie Holiday used to perform here. Different people were working here, such as Charlie Parker, Red Fox, the comedian, and the leader, Malcolm X. The live music and the art shows from local artists, local musicians. That's how I honor the legacy of the Harlem Renaissance. I was born in 1976, Tigray, Ethiopia. Growing up in Tigray, it's very happy childhood memories. It was a surreal, beautiful country, delicious food that early mornings I recall my mom roasting the delicious coffee in the house. I left Ethiopia when I was 4 years old and then lived in Sudan for a couple of years. We never really said that we are Jews. We had to hide our religion. We didn't want to create any problem or trouble. Arriving eventually to Israel was a dream come true. We integrated to the society, and in some point in my life, I wanted to live in a kibbutz. A kibbutz is a cooperative way of living, sharing in a community. And growing up in Israel was a place where I was exposed to a lot of diversity within the Jewish cuisine. Going to my Georgian or Gruzny friends and eating some delicious food, or going to my Yemenite friend and eating some malawak and jachnun. So I grew up really immersed on all those diversities, cuisines, and that kind of, it molded me to appreciate food from all over the world.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
In the year of 2000, I came to New York when I was 21. I came to New York by myself. Didn't know anybody. I just took a backpack and came here. My parents did come to New York for a couple of times, loved it. The plan was for her, actually, when I decided to open Sion Cafe, to come and help me here and guide me. Unfortunately, my mom passed away about 4 years ago from cancer. She is a great influence to the person who I am today. And her picture is right there in honor of her. And I will do, whatever I can to make sure that I continue that rich legacy that my mom engraved in me. I have 2 kids. Alam is my elder daughter. She is 15 years old. and my son Berhan is 11 years old. They take part in helping, if necessary, here at the cafe.
Ethiopian food is what I grew up on. Like the spices, the flavors, everything. It's so much, it brings me back to my childhood. And I love introducing it to my friends, and they actually love it as well. So it's really exciting.
The menu is a showcase of the different people, different cuisines, different flavors that I encounter throughout my life. You won't find anywhere in a menu where you have shakshuka together with the Ethiopian veggie combo, or malawa, or jollof rice with doro tips. I never ate jollof rice before when growing up in Israel, but coming here to New York and having employees from Nigeria opened me to that beautiful cuisine. In the neighborhood, it's a lot of fast food. It was very important for me to bring something wholesome that is nourishing the community, is a healthy option. There is a high rate, diabetes, obesity, and I wanted to address those issues by opening a venue where we can provide locally sourced vegetables, organic ingredients. We make fresh injera here every day, about 100 a day. It's made out of the ancient grain that it basically has a lot of minerals and vitamins. 2020 for us at Sion Cafe started very well. January was great. February was good. And then all of a sudden, March come in and the pandemic hit New York.
The unprecedented changes took effect in two of the nation's largest and most densely populated metro areas. Much of New York and San Francisco now shut down.
And it was a disaster. We started feeding frontline workers or anybody in need towards the end of March, and then mid-April. For the security of everybody, for the safety of my employees and myself, we really decided to shut down everything. The city providing this opportunity to open a roadside or sidewalk cafe, it's of course, it's very helpful rather than, depending only on takeout or deliveries. From 30, 40 tables, now you have about 10 tables. It's a big difference in terms of revenue intake. But are we gonna give up? No, we're gonna still keep fighting and make sure we are feeding our community.
Waves of peaceful protest marched on, bigger than ever before.
After the killing of George Floyd, for me as a Black mother, it was very troubling to see of a murder of an innocent man. A lot of people wanted to support minority-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, and that helped.
Through this pandemic, they've really made an effort and a real obvious commitment to this community, not just by sharing their wonderful gift of food and culture, but by being very open-minded and inviting people like me and my friends and artists to come and share our gifts and our talents.
Harlem is home. Harlem is the mecca of Black culture. Harlem is part of me. In this pandemic time, hard time, if we can uplift people's spirit, if it's music, healthy food, our job is done.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
Exactly. Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
You can be an A, you can be an architect, get a building to kiss the sky. You can be a B, you can be a biochemist, make medicine, save lives.
Meet 6-year-old Sam White. His ABC rap, with more than 2 million views, teaches kids about future career possibilities.
I remember firefighter, I remember architect, and I remember nurse. I remember it because I have a really sharp memory.
He's inspired thousands and even caught the attention of a former First Lady.
She posted it online and then Mommy showed it to me, and so I felt really good.
But Sam isn't the only amazing kid that's caught the eye of someone in the White House.
You inspire me.
My name is Kavanaugh Bell, and I'm 8 years old. I was dealing with a hard time from some bullies, and it just gave a darkness inside me, but I didn't want other kids to feel the same way that I felt, so I made it my mission to make sure that other kids really don't have to feel what I've gone through.
Kavanaugh embarked on a journey to end bullying, but also wanted to spread love and positivity to all. He used his own savings and donations from a GoFundMe to create care packages for the elderly and eventually open his own community food pantry.
It just made me feel beautiful inside that I was actually able to help people in the first place, and to actually have a bunch of donations to start my own community pantry that help thousands of people.
Another young entrepreneur is using her lemonade business to help save the planet.
My name is Michaela Ulmer, and I'm 16 years old.
At 4 years old, she entered her lemonade recipe in a kids' entrepreneurship competition and was inspired to launch her own business. Since then, she's landed a deal on the show Shark Tank and become the proud owner of Me and the Bees Lemonade.
I have a book called Be Fearless, and another part of that title is called Dream Like a Kid. We're really good at dreaming of the possibilities rather than the problems. Like, I came up with a quote when I was going through challenges at Me and the Bees, which is, don't be discouraged by life's little stings, but get back up and spread your wings. I'm quite honored that I have so much support and so many people who are excited to see Black girls thrive. But it's also like I want to make sure that I'm representing like our sisters well. There's pressure on me to make sure that I'm doing well and setting a good role model.
I want all kids to know that they can have an impact no matter their age, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something.
I want all kids to know they can be anything they want to be.
What I want all kids to know is that you're never too young to make an impact, so get started now.
I always just dreaded summer. Like, it just gave me so much anxiety thinking about it. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to get a bathing suit. I don't want to go on the beach.
I used to swim in like a t-shirt. Once upon a time, there weren't even bathing suits that could fit my body.
I go to a few different pools around town, and my body does not get that great of a reaction when I stroll through.
I think everybody, no matter their size, has body image issues, and we just wanted everybody to come together and have fun.
Club of Columbus!
Ow! And we are at our first event, which is our body positive pool party.
It's party time!
We've definitely all seen this happen in bigger cities like LA, New York City. someone had one in Pittsburgh, so a little bit closer to home, and then Shrill came out. We were like, we have to do this. It's something that our community needs. We had a huge, just like, community come out of everywhere. So we launched our Instagram for the Fat Babes Club of Columbus probably about a month before the event.
Immediately 500 followers.
We were like, maybe we should do pre-sale tickets just to get an idea of how many people actually want to attend. And we launched that at midnight on a Friday, and by 11 a.m. on Saturday, we were sold out.
All sold out, 110 tickets.
Yeah.
We saw it and we just about lost our minds because we're like, oh man, it's like a pool party for plus size people.
It's been so long since I've actually been to the pool, like without feeling like I'm not welcome there or like somebody's judging me.
It's super important to have events like this. I'm like talking to people who pass by and like just making new friends and not worrying about the way I look, and it's just been like a viscerally positive experience.
We joke about like the thick clique, but I think that when you roll like deep with community, it's safer. You have a buffer of people around you who are protecting you, just like any other community that's a minority community. We wanted people to not just come so that they can feel comfortable, but also to come so that they can meet new people.
And maybe if they want to come to a public pool next week, that they find a buddy to come with. Even if you're having trouble finding a thick clique, I think just taking baby steps. If you want to go to a public pool, like go in, feel it out, and maybe the next day you'll get like the courage to jump in.
I definitely think also to remember that you shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable for somebody else just because somebody feels uncomfortable around you and you're hot. Take your shirt off.
Right.
Put on a bikini.
Just like live your best fat life, babes. It's sunny. Ohio is finally blessing us with like this beautiful sky. Enjoy. Be out there.